Okay, folks, so here we are live. I've got a special edition of Shooting the Shit. I've got a wonderful guest, a Canadian comedian who lives in the UK just now. His name's Craig Campbell. Welcome to the show, Craig.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Billy. Appreciate
No problem. We don't have many viewers just yet. Maybe some will join us. If not, we'll have a chat and they can catch up afterwards.
It depends on your perspective on many.
That's true. Well, to me, one is a good audience for me. Yeah?
Well, I'm a veteran of the Edinburgh Festival, so you can imagine how I feel about numbers. Yeah.
Well, I've done the festival 6 times and mostly to an empty room. Yeah.
Yeah. So 1 or 2 is perfect.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you can do a show. Yeah.
I've done that many a time. A show to one person.
Me too. Well, that's, for me, it's one of the mottos. Don't punish the people who came.
Exactly. Yeah. You've got to. The show must go on, and
totally.
Some of the small shows, you make a really good connection with those people.
Totally.
An intimate thing.
In my experience, similarly over my life. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So let's start. Basically, I want to go into comedy and stuff, and then we'll go into other things later. So basically, tell me about your background, first of all, growing up in Canada, a little bit about your childhood and those kind of things, and then how you got into comedy, lead into that.
Sure. Well, I grew up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I'm one of those lucky Canadians who just was lucky. A lot of people maybe can't relate to that experience of upbringing in terms of good fortune.
In what way were you lucky? What do you mean?
In terms of like opportunity for immense value, as in like inexpensive. Not dissimilar to like a Scottish experience in terms of like how quickly you can get out of the city and into the wild.
All right. Mm-hmm.
So in that way, like really great opportunity. Played sport all through school. Lived on the outskirts of Calgary, so on the mountainside, on the west side, which meant that like we got off, for example, in high school on Fridays, we would get off at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and we would be able to be like 40, 50 minutes on a little BMX with our fishing poles on the bars and be like up to our necks in mountain spring water and the type of fish that grow in that kind of world. Like literally by 10 past 2. And and I'm talking about like where I lived, the fringes of it went into as would be now an indigenous reservation. You gotta be careful with your terminologies in that part of the world. And then that bordered on a military base, which then went into just crown land and then the mountains.
All right.
So totally spoiled, in terms of like opportunity that way. And I say this because we were in no way, it might be hard for people even to hear this much of the story and understand that we're like not wealthy at all. Mm-hmm. Like zero, which is, and we spoke a tiny bit before the camera came on about what comedy's like. And I'm not a chronicler of everybody's experience, but in my experience in comedy, there are a lot of feather beds. A lot of like cushy comeback fallbacks. And so, I've always been a little bit no parachute, and I remain that now. There's no financial insurance policy in my life. And that, when you're a road comic, gig to gig and paying for fuel with the money you made on the night, and that's been my life for like 30 plus years now, honestly, that kind of element of it. But to go back to that part of the world, I basically at about 17, 18, I was very lucky. By that time I was really deeply into whitewater paddling, kayaking, particularly slalom boating.
I was going to ask you, when you were at school, is there any particular sport you excelled at, or what were you into?
Well, it's funny, you screwed that story up by throwing the excelled bit. Okay, let's go back to my skills. As you may be able to tell from my demeanor already, I was my reputation, Billy, was tenacious.
Right, okay.
So what I had little of in skills as far as coordination that would have made me like a great offensive player in, for example, hockey was one of my strongest sports. Then I went into both basketball and volleyball through school. But but I was very good at because I wasn't as coordinated. I would argue. I'm assessing my own skills right now, but I was really good on defense. I prided myself on defense. It was all we call in hockey particularly. They call the type of player I was a lunch bucket.
Okay.
Yeah, like
you say hockey, you mean ice hockey, obviously.
I thought, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So in defense, you were basically shoving them into the side and all that stuff.
All over you like your own shadow, like your worst nightmare, Billy. Trying to die to remove you from, and that might seem like there's an aggression to that, but I also prided myself on trying to be within the framework of the rules. And
hard but fair.
Totally. And I think it may be something that, people don't realize, certainly in my generation upbringing in Canada, was that was what we knew ourselves to be representing and famous for. I grew up in a world where, it wasn't I would say the polar opposite of it would be like professional European football as you play it here. Yeah. In terms of like it's totally within the realms of the rules to pretend that you've got a bad arm or somebody's tripped you or and not to say that doesn't exist in all professional sport now, because it does. But in my era, I grew up in the sort of gentleman gym rules where you didn't do that. It was really frowned upon. It was bad for your character. And to the degree that in particular sports like basketball, where there's fouling and there's, penalties because of that, it's extremely common, less so in hockey, but definitely in basketball, extremely common to call your own fouls, for example.
Yeah.
Just because you better than anybody else knows whether or not you made contact and in what way. And, so that was sort of, a part of it. So when I back checked, as they call it, when I was on defense and I was going after you, I was really trying to and if I could undress you or if I could, remove you from the puck without affecting you physically, that was, the pinnacle of a steal, for example. So. Yeah. So
there's an art form to that in itself. Lots of football these days, you can't touch anybody, but basically a good solid tackle is an art form to it, So I imagine it's something similar to it, It's got to be timed well and all this kind of stuff.
Finesse, absolutely, a great timing to that. So it's funny that I say that because my skills weren't the same way. For example, if I was on a breakaway, this is actually quite funny even for me to explore, because I would feel great angst. Like I wasn't a star player in that way. That if it was all about me straight away to the net with nobody around, I would just everybody and God was watching me, Billy, and I would fuck it up invariably. No matter what. That was just how that would be. That said, I didn't feel the same sort of intimidation when I was on defense. Again, I'm exploring this now because I don't know why that would have been, but there's all kinds of I was actually speaking about this of all things last night with my mother, bless her, that's still with us in Canada. Mm-hmm. Skype, makes living abroad a very tolerable thing, and we were talking about. Again, we don't have to explore deeply into this, but there was an interesting dynamic that not many people might know about Canadian sport. That early, sort of in my early high school. So for us, that was whatever what do you say, sixth form or seventh form or whatever. Grade 10, 11, 12 for us. So you're 15, 16, 17, that kind of age. That was when you had to make the decision whether or not you were going to play school sport or continue, as I was at that time, to play hockey. So you made this decision because you couldn't play both because of the scheduling as it went.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because, and again, we don't have to digress into every aspect of this, but hockey was definitely, in the era that I played it in, was a very violent sport.
That's why people like to watch it.
yeah. But I mean, we weren't even. I can honestly tell you, from a player's point of view, it wasn't for the benefit of the audience. We were not. I mean, it's only our mums and dads. To be fair, there's maybe if you were lucky, the guy who taped your ankle might be looking. Just and that would be lucky if you had anybody, if you had the facility to be able to hire someone like that. So we were pretty bare bones. But regardless, it was in the days of face cages. So you used to cut your gloves so that you had your hand to claw out, and you get a hold of equipment and shirts, and there was a lot of fighting. Basically, there was a lot of violence of fighting, which was a strange crossover, because when you went from hockey, at which I basically made the decision, I wasn't you probably not dissimilar. There's a lot of parallels in the country and in the sports. If you compare New Zealand's rugby to Canada's hockey.
I'm from Scotland.
Okay, so you played what, like throw rocks at trains, right? Wasn't that your like sport?
I played football or soccer.
Soccer. Ah, okay. I've got a wonderful story of Scottish soccer. I like knowing little things about the, particularly countries that I love, like Scotland, about your history. But regardless, the parallels between rugby and hockey were such that, like, by kind of 11, 12, 13, 14, maybe even younger now, you were making that decision as to whether or not you were going to possibly be professional. They're headhunting you that early. And I was in that realization that I just wasn't of that stuff. I'm not going to be like in the NHL playing hockey. So I moved into the next thing.
Wasn't your destiny?
It wasn't my destiny at all. Yeah, I ended up in a kayak, to give you some perspective, right? Like,
I'm going to get back to the rafting story.
There's your perspective. But what you would do, not uncommonly, as I did, is you would make the decision to go into school sport, which was curious because the school sport that I then most gravitated to, another shout out to Scotland, Mr. Naismith, basketball was like the main sport that we loved. So we, and it may be a little thing, but we came second in the cities, which Calgary's a city of, like, at the time was about 600,000, nearly 1 million. And we came in second for the cities, and then we won the cities the next year. Okay. And that was like, we were pretty, our motto was, if it is to be, it's up to me. So, and actually it played into my playing style really well, because we also weren't the most offensively skilled team in either year in the league, but our defense was mental, Billy. It was mental. I had never been in that good a shape in my life. We would run constantly until we puked. I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that, where you're like, just as kids, you're already in great shape, but you fucking run until you puke. Like, while you're running. It was madness. But we would destroy teams that didn't have that ethic. Just destroy them. Like by the second quarter, you could see they were flagging, and we were just like warming up by that. Just like, like full court press, just would literally maul people who were way better than us, but were completely thrown off because we're fucking everywhere all the time, right? So, and no weaknesses. So that was kind of cool. But what happened is that because we're taking this kind of hockey physicality into basketball. What also meant, and this is the thing that I was explaining to my mom last night, was quite a funny crossover that, a real idiosyncratic to Canada that many people might not know, is that, and there's a bit of me that doesn't want to tell you, there's another bit of me that wants you to know about it. But the interestingly, when you get in, and when you go into Canadian high school, if you played basketball, it meant that you also had opportunity, because these schedules would dovetail into each other. You would be playing volleyball and then basketball in the same school year. So consequently, there were not just like ex-hockey players, which was curious about it anyway, but like quite physical basketball players who would end up on the volleyball team. And I say end up because it was, again, I wasn't a spectacular volleyball player. I'm proficient for sure, but not spectacular at it. But what was curious about it is that also scheduling wise in Canadian, I don't know if it's the same in American schools, but scheduling wise, if you played volleyball, it also meant that you were overlapping American football, which we played in our high schools. So not, obviously not soccer as it was, but like actual like guys in equipment with helmets on, and and it was definitely the jock sport. It was definitely like where all the fucking like hard asses played football. No football player in Canada would be like even interested in volleyball except to make fun of it. Yeah. Except what they didn't really factor in, a lot of them, as it turns out, is that we were also fucking mental hockey players who were only playing volleyball because we could, because we preferred basketball. So consequently, as I was like quite shocking my mom with last night, she asked me about, we've got a mutual friend that I won't malign by, she was asking about a friend that's very close with her and very close with our family from like high school, from junior high, in fact. And she was inquiring as to, how he is. And then she was asking like sort of, he's a man of ethnic persuasion, which again, I'm not going to identify him, but she asked me, very naive woman. And she just, said, did you ever experience racism with blank blank? And I was just like, are you fucking kidding? Like all the time, like constantly. But I mean, what was interesting about it is that I don't know how much of the background, I don't want to again, overly identify this guy, but long story short, regardless of where he's from or what his ethnicity was or is still, he was a deadly killer. So it was a weird experience for us, quite incredulous, as I overused the words hundreds of times, explaining this to my mom last night, how bizarre it was when we would be experiencing this overt, open frontal racism. Yeah. And my only reaction to it, Billy, was just like, oh my God, somebody fucking help these guys. Oh my God. I was fearful of what the fuck was going to happen next, just because of the total out of their depth ridiculousness that assholes who did that in my presence did. And what would be funny about it is because these things would happen, Billy, they would happen when we were a volleyball team in an opposing team's dressing room, going out to play volleyball against their school's team. And we'd be in a dressing room with 25, 30, sometimes 40 fucking arsehole American football players who would then decide to be dickheads to us because they would see us in our little, fruity volleyball gear, and the carnage that took place. And I tell you, look at my face, Billy. Do you see any scars? No. At all. I can tell you that the majority of the time it was just wiping bits of flesh off of my fucking body. Oh my God. Because of the people in the air. I'll give you. The people I'm talking about essentially were Vietnamese boat people, right. and they had spent the closest friends that I grew up with in that group had spent 6 months plus on their way from Vietnam in Malaysia in camps eating rodents and of course salt of the earth, warmest humans, but just deadly, Billy. Oh my God. Oh my God. Of all the people to pick on, right?
They didn't know what they were getting into.
They've come so far. They've gone through they've been in a war. They survived a war. And now they're in Canada in a place that's got the winter going on everywhere, and just basically it was quite interesting and of course my mom's reaction was just oh my, did that happen? I'm just of course it happened. She has this kind of fanciful idea in her head that his upbringing in our friendship was just not confrontational. So yeah. To give an example, one that was strong in my mind is the football team, and basically, and I feel like I'm a bit of a tattler. I feel bad about this. The guy who is being picked on is now a Calgary policeman, which is ironic because he was just one of the most ridiculously incapable people of our friendship circle. He may well be a fucking marathoner or a triathlete monster now. I don't know, but at the time he was the guy we had to push off of the high diving board. And right. He just wasn't our pinnacle dude. But anyway, he made the mistake of asking a football player where the toilets were in the school, and it immediately just hey, why don't you go fuck to the shitters in your school, dick fuck? Welcome to Canada. I don't know if you've seen any parallels between Canada and Scotland yet, but there's a lot. so suddenly it's just and it's one of my favorite things actually about Scotland and Canada that probably doesn't apply in a lot of places, but one of my favorite things about Scotland is that they're just I love the fact that most people don't know this about Scotland, but all Scottish people do, that there can be a fight anywhere. There's no parameters for settings or the rules or any of that chivalry or the things you expect. It's just any second for almost any reason, it can be going the fuck off. So regardless, my future cop buddy is being, picked on, I like immediately, just better go get my friend. I like fucking run out of the fucking, run through fucking 25 football players and fucking get to the doors. And my buddy who survived the death camps of Malaysia at this point, had only been my friend for like 5 years, was just, I remember they were doing spike practice pre-game, right? So he just like, boom, just fucking boom. And I'm like, fucking dude, there's a guy picking on Mike, and it's just like, and like our friendship was such that was Billy, that was like all I conveyed to him. That was the extent of all I needed to say, and it's just like mid fucking what? Oh, okay, literally just like boom into the locker rooms, and in that like a film, just like fucking who, which one, and I just like, at that point even scared to like point out who's about to fucking die, right? Like, and I like that guy, and literally just like from that kind of like intensity to just like 2 or 3 fucking power steps, and then just fucking front kick with a heel in the solar plexus. I'm just fucking boom, fucking like backwards and up and into the lockers, and then just like fucking done, right? Like on the ground making weird noises, and then just like 25, 30 football players in half of their gear and their shoes half tied, just like fucking, any other fucks with this cunt? Okay, enjoy your fucking lives. You're all lucky tonight. And then you're looking out there and, hey, the basketball team, that's now the volleyball team's here. It's like, that was kind of, so to give you an idea of, we had another one that's just like even more comical. It's ridiculous. She's like, my mom's like, really? That happened a lot? And I'm like, yeah, like, so here we are, Billy. We're just a shit border town between Alberta and British Columbia. 2 big provinces, about an hour and a half, 2 hours out of Calgary, a place called Invermere, British Columbia. And we're the basketball team, we're from out of town. We're the big city guys. Yeah. So suddenly, like during the game, we're on the benches, and across we're looking at the bleachers. And between the bleachers, there's like open doors that go into the hallway to the main school. And a guy like is in the door. He's opened the door to directly be looking at our bench, like maybe 50, 70 feet straight across. Nobody else can see him at all. He's only focused on our bench, and he's like giving my friend the fucking eyes, right? And like picking on. It's amazing to me, Billy. I love telling this story because he's chosen like probably within 200 fucking square miles. Very last guy he ever should have like even thought about it. It's just incredible to me. It's just like, and I remember even at that age as a kid, I just remember like I would still be entertained by the mystery of the universe. Just like why or how. But regardless, he had you probably know a butterfly knife. Yeah. So he was not only being racist with his actions, but he was like intimidating. He pulls out a knife, which like, in Canadian standards, like, and another like back to where you call your own fouls and there's chivalry and all the kind of like rules of like how you engage physically with men. To bring a knife to any fight, let alone a gunfight, is just like, oh my good Lord, you're in the lesson of your lifetime right now. So he's I'll never forget this as well. He's got the butterfly knife and he's giving it the old and then just like as we're all like maybe 9 guys on the bench, basketball bench, he just in the middle of this like, obviously quite shit performance, Billy, fucking drops the butterfly knife, huh? Has to pick up his butterfly knife mid-performance. Does that. I remember that going on. So now we have a break at halftime. We're given a school classroom to give our pep talk for halfway. We like come off that bench like fucking firecrackers. I remember my buddy just like explodes through the crack out the same door, like obviously looking for him like at that time immediately. Like maybe we should kill him now. Can we find him? Like he's not there. So instead we go to this classroom. My buddy, I still remember, I love my memory, and I love that. I don't know what you most enjoy about comedy, but I love like exploring my own memory a lot. And it's wonderful to like have just the imagery that I have right now. Just I remember him having to get up on a chair to then get up and get a hold of like a world map. He like pulls down the world map, and it's on like a 6-8 foot what we would call, well, it became quite quickly a bow staff. Uh-huh. Right? So taking it down. He's like, right, and this, we didn't litter, for example, if I can give you an idea of like how not into vandalizing we would have been at that age, especially.
Yeah.
My buddy just like rips the fucking map off the pole, right? Like just like in this is before the coach got there to like give us a talk, just like just tearing the shit out of like school property. We were all pretty like none of us had been in a fucking camp in Malaysia, I can assure you, right? Like we just like the rest of us just go, I've never been that innovative in my life, So he just like rips that off, hides it. I still remember him like hiding it. We finished the game. I don't remember if we won or lost, but we went back to the hotel room, and we had this bow staff with us, and it was hidden in our things. And Billy is still. I'm so glad that I told my mom this story last night because it's still, again, I'm going to overuse incredulous. This is unbelievable, but like the same guy, Billy, and again, you can only happen because it's a small town. The same dude and two of his buddies in a pickup truck pull up in front of the window of the motel that the entire basketball team is on the ground that they don't see. They can only see like heads on the bed, but the rest of the guys are on the floor. And I still remember to this day we were watching Top Gun.
Right.
The guy comes out, the three buddies of them, they come out and they stand beside their truck outside our hotel room window, Billy. So somebody, like maybe even they got tipped off by the people at the front desk. I don't know. But like this is, as we would call it, a hammerhead town. And that there would be a conspiracy against us doesn't in any way surprise me or shock me. But regardless, I still remember it like I like to compare it to a clown car where just like 15 of us, the whole like basketball team was like out of the fucking little like radiator window. Like all of us, just one after the other popping out to then be like 15 dudes, 15 dudes lined up against three guys. And I kid you fucking not, it's still unbelievable to me to even tell you this. The main guy, the butterfly knife guy, had a fucking long like shovel spade with him.
All right.
And he said, "I've come to bury you."
Fuck's sake.
I fucking kid you not. Like how insane is that? I remember. Like we're like 16 maybe? Maybe not, like maybe even like 15, like crazy. And then Min comes out. He hasn't revealed himself, and I hope that he comes out and he's got the staff. And of course, I obviously this guy was able to read from just the flash in his eye. I still remember the guy said like from this he like kind of didn't realize that everybody would bring a weapon at that point, right? Yeah. And I still remember him saying this. He said like obviously like a bit of the wind went out of his sails, and he said, "Hey, I'm a man. If we fight, I might go to jail."
All right.
He didn't say anything other than that, I can tell you. Min closed the gap on him, similar to as happened in the locker room in the other incident that was in my memory. And just like if you've seen it, just fucking spin the fucking staff so whoever's about to get like helicoptered to death wonders what might be going on. Like a fucking Eat It Joe's LED shows going on, and then just like fucking down low, like just below the knee, like just like literally like just follow through, right? Just fucking home run, just like literally chopped this guy off his fucking redneck dickhead fucking drop a butterfly knife feet, and then we all like fucking clowns popped on back in to get little hard-ons for Kelly McGillis.
All right.
That was it. It was like that was just there you go. I think the keys to your truck are in that guy's pocket. Enjoy your life. Welcome to life. And so that was kind of the atmosphere that I grew up in, and so it dovetailed into I started into whitewater kayaking sort of in the same era, and then that led to guiding rafts. And once I was guiding rafts, I was in a situation at 17, just about 18, that I was entertaining people floating through whitewater in the Alberta Rockies, which led to me needing to do safety talks and be basically like a vocal person in my work environment. And that, of course, went a long way to be humorous during those experiences. Yeah. And one of the stories I can quickly digress into that there was, as you probably may have seen in the news recently in the UK, there was mention of how much sewage was being leached back into like rivers and whatnot by British, sewer companies. And I always I try not to dogpile on the Brits because, Canada's a pristine place and it's beautiful and everything's nice and everybody's friendly and all blah, 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 all that. But we also have horrible pollution issues. Both Victoria and Vancouver, pride themselves on being some of the most progressive places on earth easily. They're still pumping, fucking shite and condoms and everything you can imagine, even more insultingly towards America in the ocean, which in some ways is funny, but in other ways it's just like embarrassing and depressing that we're, so much more evolved than them, but we're still like shooting fucking sewage towards them, which, kind of good. But you can only imagine that at the time that I was in like this most pristine part of the world, you can imagine Banff National Park, which is where like the river that I was working on at the time was running out of. It would come through the town center. So this is called the Bow River. If anybody wants to see like video of it, I think you can probably see on YouTube a film called The River, which was one of the rapids that they used for Marilyn Monroe's film. And that was one of the rapids that we would run, basically. It was one of the like better whitewater pitches that we would go down. But regardless, because the where we were running the river was downstream from Banff, the town, which is like, Canada's first, it might even be the first national park in North America. It's just like, it's like literally drop dead, jaw dropping gorgeous. It's a beautiful place, elk downtown, fucking cougars wander, bears eating your brownie while you're having a coffee. Just like it's quintessential Canada. But at the same time, at the time I was rafting there years ago, during the summer influx, the sewage system would overflow 4 times.
All right.
So like it would fill up, and then 3 more segments of that much volume would literally overflow unfiltered.
Yeah, that's not good.
So you can only possibly imagine. I can tell you, it led to there were large fish.
All right.
We did very well fish-wise. For various reasons that I won't digress into, but people with an ecology mind will probably know why that's happening, what's going on. But regardless, we got into a place where we would have to give safety talks that were based around what you might hit your paddle with and how you shouldn't if you do. Basically, we were warning people about like, if you see a finless brown trout, please, get your feet out of the water and tell the guide and, don't blah, blah, blah. Basically, that was, one of our, which eventually led to me losing that job because of our entire rafting company was no longer, because of fecal count in the water, we were no longer allowed to like legally raft, and it led to court cases, and my boss at the time was deeply involved in like fighting the government because they were like, as you get in every, you can't get worse politics than we're dealing with right now. But just like, I remember even as an 18-year-old at that time, 17, 18-year-old, just like, how can they defer the sewage system? How? Yeah. Like, how can governmental people, how can like a country as wealthy as Canada, like be nitpicking about when they're not going to pump raw fucking sewage into the fucking rivers above a city the size of Calgary? Are you fucking kidding me? I remember like just at that time, I'm going to overuse incredulous again tonight, if you don't mind, Billy. How the living fuck? But that was like one of my first experiences with just like, how fucked is this world? So essentially I lost my rafting job because of this, like, governmental fucking dickheadery. And that led me into traveling because of my whitewater skills, my paddling. And that led me to, give me a second, sorry. Once I was racing, I have to crow a little bit for myself. I made the Alberta team for a number of years, and then I made the national team as a junior boat. When I was 17, I was the 6th best under 18 paddler in Canada, which is like pretty, pretty pushy water, and that was a pretty awesome thing. But basically, that led for me to be given the opportunity to train with the Canadian national whitewater team men. So basically, like the Olympians of Canada, and we were jammed in this little cabin. We were sent out to a place called Cultus Lake, British Columbia. And the reason that we went to Cultus Lake, British Columbia, and British Columbia in general is because it was the only place in Canada in the winter from like November until April that you had any open water that you were able to train in. So although it was often like cold as a witch's match, it was also like paddleable. So we had neoprene hoods and, full wetsuits, and we would, essentially train 2-3 times a day, every day. And that led to, and I still, when I think about this, it's incredible to me, Billy, the proximity of the life. We had like what were called, you may know even polypropylene gear called LIFA or LIFA, some people call it, but it's just like famously, it's like wearing plastic clothes. It keeps the water off your skin, but it's just like the reekiest shite ever, right? Like one guy's stuff would like bother his family, right. But 4 guys with like with other team members coming in like all week and every weekend in numbers to then like be paddling together for like multiple times, often a day, and then just be hanging this shit in the only place it had like a gnat's hope in hell to fucking dry, which it wouldn't anyway, was in the fucking house, Billy. In the house.
I was going to ask. Did you urinate inside it? Some people say you urinate inside these wetsuits when it's especially cold.
Yeah, so, not uncommonly. I think if you would, you guys have a better expression than anybody else for that. I think in the setting that we were in, it was stinky enough anyway. But if you did that, I think like for all of your paddling skill, they'd probably just call you a fucking dirty bastard, and then you'd never fucking be there again. Because I like it stank anyway. In fact, like it stank so bad, I might be shocked that you would like smell it. You probably wouldn't smell piss, honestly. Like,
okay, that would get covered up.
Hideous, yeah, totally. Yeah, you fucking like it'd be a birthday present to get a fucking like a whiff of piss in that atmosphere. And it was just like it was madness. It was just like it was festooned everywhere. Just like I remember, like just we're men in a small, tiny cabin, just nailing into the fucking walls when you need like a new place to hang your shit. And put it across a cable in the middle of the living room because there was nowhere else to be. There was like 2 bedrooms and they both had bunk beds, and that's where we slept. There was nowhere else. There was like a couch in the front room, and then that like buttressed a tiny kitchen, and then the only other door was opposite the kitchen, and then you were out fucking side. That was like it. That's all we were. So we were just in this like really, really tight quarters and stinky as shit. And when we would have the paddlers come and visit from other places, we had a friend that came along, and I was, because of these, like maybe it was the dynamics, that I was very much the younger person in the group. They were, and the other guys, like one of them was an Olympian. They're men. They're that if you've ever been around like fucking national team member men people, they're just they're fucking specimens. Fucking outrageously powerful fucking people, whether you're in a fucking tiny hole with them or not, right? So it was like quite an atmosphere of dynamicism in terms of our personalities. But my like strength was just I'd tell stories. I'd talk as I do now quite incessantly. And
so there wasn't any TV or anything to distract you with, so you make your own.
Talk around. No, and in fact, you mentioned that because we did have a radio, and we also had like great fucking, we had cassettes, and I was introduced by these like older men, wonderful mentors in my life, just to great music. I didn't know who Lou Reed was. I didn't know who Arlo Guthrie was. I didn't know the fucking who, you better, fuck yeah. Like just like suddenly like a guy who had no musical acumen at all was just introduced to fucking paradise, right? And so that was, in itself a really wonderful experience. But it also taught me that like I grew up without couth in any way, that like I just didn't realize what a rude person I was. And I would, come in and make noise when other people are like sitting listening to music. And rather than like engage my conversation, they'd be like, we'd never say the C word, at that time in Canada anyway. It's probably more ubiquitous now. But like it basically, hey, could you shut your fucking mouth, asshole? I'm listening to the song. Would be like, and I just really had never dealt with like, oh, fuck, I didn't know you were like focused on something and I'm another entity of thing. And I come in and like, because I was just used to, bullying in my family and not, this kind of atmosphere. But I remember like having that experience quite early on where I just came in and was like loud and, trying to dominate the situation, and was just kind of told, hey, like when you come into a place, maybe suss out what might be happening before you fucking tell that story, right? So, but regardless, like I had like, just wonderful, from my experience, I had some real seminal moments in my life of being able to tell, like, I still find it funny. Most people don't remember, and I think it was really common back then, but just like when your car would start on fire, it was just like back in those days. I don't know if like how young people are. I'm over 50 now, and just like it just wasn't uncommon. You're like fucking. I went grocery shopping, and my oil cap fell somehow off of the fucking oil hole and bounced around under the bonnet and got itself connected into the battery to cross terminal somehow. And then just fucking like now my fucking car's on fire in front of the food grocery place, and fucking fireman there with a fucking long axe just fucking banging the hood open. Into but back in those days, I'm 18, I got no money, just fucking we wired it shut and drove it for another few years, right? Like, so we had like kind of these interesting experiences, and I have to like quickly digress to tell you one of my favorite moments of it that really gave me like a different perspective of like kind of how even now it's a good lesson for anyone, and myself still. We had this experience where we were basically, we all had old shit cars. I had a 72 Ford Cortina wagon that had like no guts in it. But if you got it like going at sort of top speed, 120, 130 kilometers an hour, like maybe 60 miles an hour, fuck me, Billy, it would turn any corner. If you could stay holding on, it was just like G-force fucking crazy. If it ever let go, it would let go laterally. It would never kick out. It was fucking unreal. Like, even if you fucking lost it a bit, as long as you held the fucking turn, it would fucking... And consequently, like, I came out of nowhere as a young kid in a shit car. They had a Maverick was the top car at the time of the cabin before I came along. And I say like top car, we would race from one particular stop sign into town that was maybe like 8 or 9 minutes away. And I don't know if you've ever lived with race people, but you always had like a Timex on your watch, on your wrist, and like everything was a fucking race line, Billy. Everything, like no matter where you were trying to find the fucking quick exit, how quickly, and like driving was no different than paddling and going through the gates. So we're just like men on every level racing each other, no matter what, the fucking going for the catch up, fucking woo, fucking always trying to like, take the slick line, right? So yeah. My buddy in his Maverick, one of my like, huge mentors still in my life. I know, you know how comedy is, and you've seen me on social media, so chances are he probably would never talk to me now. But regardless, like, right. I don't have to look up to him still. And so he wipes out his car with another very close friend from Vancouver in the car with him. They're coming back from town. They're on our race line. They're trying to fucking beat the record. And they just roll it into the rainforest, man. Like off the fucking road, down a steep embankment, like put it over on its head fucking a few times. Miss, like, I don't know if you've been to British Columbia or that part of British Columbia, but just like, it's not California and it's not Oregon. They're not redwoods, but Western red cedars are like fucking as big as the car at the base. No problem, right? Like just fucking like a brick fucking wall and like dozens of them everywhere. They fucking lace it, right? They fucking get through. They don't hit anything solid. And then they're just like, they're pretty hardcore fucking paddler guys. They have a good laugh because they're stuck on the ceiling because they can't get out of their seatbelts. So they're fucking like, they're too much tension. And they're just like, take a while to fucking work it, help each other, bang, fucking down, out, and get themselves out of broken windows, fucking wander. And then they're just, in the shape of their lives. So they're just like, well, fucking jog home, right? Like, why not? They're like, they're only 5 kilometers down the road. They're home in like fucking 15 minutes, 18 minutes, probably fucking racing if I knew them well, just fucking, right? So we get there, they tell us the story, fucking car, fucking, just like the story goes down. And then it's like, 7 o'clock, we finish dinner, blah, blah, blah. We think, hey, let's go back and get the fucking car. Maybe a good idea. Holy living shit, Billy. Like we get there, and if I can steal another like inspiration at that time in my life, Arlo Guthrie, the Alice's Restaurant Massacre, there were 5 police officers and 3 police cars inspecting the biggest crime of the last 50 years, and everybody wanted to get in a newspaper story about it. And they was taking plaster tire track prints, dog smelling prints, and they took 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. And they took pictures of the approach, the getaway, the northwest corner, the southwest corner, and that's not to mention the aerial photography, right? So like the place is fucking crawling with fucking pigs, right? Just like and townspeople. I kid you, like we were just like on this like summer resort in the winter, so there's like barely anybody there, but living fuck when there's a maverick rolled through the fucking rainforest. There's like 20 fucking people I never saw again and I hadn't seen previously, right? Like they're wondering whether or not people, of course you forget, Billy. I'm kind of taking the piss out of them, but I forget how awesome Canada is. They're there because they're fucking worried that you're wandering around injured. You know, they're fucking, they're like fucking, you know, they're actually passionate people that are, so we just like, we wander up, you know, fucking, hey, what's going on? What are you guys doing here? You fucking just like, you want to buy it? What's going on? And they're just like, you know, are you the guys? And it's like, yeah. And then, so suddenly fucking, there it is, Sergeant Dickhead, fucking, you know, fucking right there. Looks like your fucking lights out. Does your horn work? Fucking, you know, just like exactly why everybody doesn't like cops. Fucking takes down the information, hands a ticket to my buddy, hands a fucking speeding ticket to my buddy, who's astute. This is my buddy of mine, like, again, a mentor of mine, fit as a snatch and fucking smart as a whip, right? So he receives this speeding ticket, and for the first time ever and foundationally, wonderfully in my life, Billy, fucking let's go to court. Yeah. Yeah. So do we go to court? Yes, of course we do. And it reminded me again, because it's relevant to what's going on here. It reminded me even today, I found out that there's, including in Middlesbrough Town Hall and other places that I've played as a comedian, they're turning them into courts now, Billy, to try and take backlog away. You can look for this in the news, like currently now they're trying to like move, they're basically looking at the viability of turning makeshift facilities into courtrooms to take the backlog away. And of course, one of the knock-on effects that's fascistic about this and totally counter to justice is that because of these facilities idiosyncrasies, it means that a lot less of these court cases are going to be able to be chronicled in as defined a way, which isn't justice in itself. There's going to be a lot that's missed in people's trials because they're not in a courthouse anymore. And whether that's by design or what, like we all know that power corrupts and that's not going to be a good thing for the little guy. But regardless, it takes me to my memory of going back to Cultus Lake, British Columbia, 1989. And we go to court, Billy, and where is it? In a elementary school. I'll never forget this. Just a surreal, even I wasn't that much out of elementary. I was only, you know, fucking 8-9 years myself out of elementary at that point. But there I was in like a little desk, you know, fucking, yeah, you're a bit nervous because there's a lot of court people around. So you go take a piss and your dick's longer than the fucking urinal, you know, just like real kind of weird. Are we in court? What's going on? Land, right? Yeah! Just totally. So we go to the courtroom. And I'm like, even by this time, I'm a bit cynical. I've lost my rafting job because fucking the government can't clean its shit up. You know, I'm starting to like kind of grind against the state, as it were, you know? And so there I am and just thinking like, you know, my buddy's going to get fucking rifled and blah, blah, blah. So we're sitting there and the court judge comes in and starts the proceedings. And at some point, I'll take you to the bit that was crucial. At a point where it became that my friend was able to stand up and cross-examine the cop.
Okay.
Right? Right, just fucking like just tension, right? Like holy shit, like talking to a cop in court, right? So. My buddy, again, I said, like, smart as a whip. He's got all of his fucking questions worked out. He knows exactly what they are. And of course, anybody that's even half listening to this story realizes, like, you clocked it. I could tell right away, like a speeding ticket.
Yeah, you can.
Speeding ticket. Of all of the things that you could have got him for, but you went for speeding. So my buddy, like right away, just said, "How, sir, could you estimate my speed by what you found at the scene?" And he just like right away, the cop was just like, "I don't fucking answer questions to dickheads." Like right, he didn't say that, but it was just like his demeanor was like, "What the fuck are we doing? You know, going through this for?" So he's just like, blah 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 blah. And then my buddy said, "Oh yeah," he said, I could tell by the skid marks."
Right.
Okay. And I know this corner. I'd with pleasure, if we were financed and there wasn't a fucking crisis in the world, I'd love to fly you to this corner, Billy, just to show you how many, including my own, fucking skid marks are on that corner, right? So my just like, how possibly in the myriad of skid marks that were there, could you have assessed which ones were mine? And do you have any evidence of how you've done that you can tell the court, right? So like, you can only imagine, like, Mr. fucking arsehole just decides, I'll get fucking arsier, right? Just digs in his heels. Is it more of a dickhead to my buddy in the courtroom, right?
That's the contempt they have for us, though. They don't treat us, I think they're just there to be processed, basically.
Oh, well, absolutely. Like, just pay your fine and quit being a fucking arsehole, right? Is this guy? So suddenly, he's just like, I forget the actual exchange of obstinance that he performed, but it's one of my favorite moments in my fucking life. Oh my good God. The judge, and I'm like, there's tension. Like, I'm assuming like what you've just said, it's a process and we're going to get fucking crucified here for sure, right? No matter how right we are, we're not going to win against the man in the state, right? So fucking judge, fucking little wooden fucking bangity bang, 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 bang. And he says, officer, answer Mr. Norman's questions, please.
Okay.
And I'm just like, at this point, hey, you paid for the whole seat, Billy, but you're only using the edge. Holy shit, huh? Like, I'm just like, holy fuck, did that just happen? Like, fucking, if I can pinch me, it's happening, right? And then, just like to further emphasize, and remove your hat in my courtroom.
Okay.
Unreal, right? So out of nowhere, that exchange is going on.
He's taking down a peg.
2 pegs, like wacky fucking whack, right there, right now. And I just didn't expect like any sort of equivalence from the judge in any way, shape, or form. But regardless, takes off his hat, gets halfway through mumbling his way through the bullshit that he obviously can't back up with any facts or any fucking evidence in any way. And in the mid of what he was talking about, Billy, in the mid of it, fucking gavel again, bangity bang. I believe if Mr. Norman had an attorney, he would request a dismissal, and that is what I am granting at this moment.
Right, awesome.
It was unreal for an 18-year-old kid that was like a little bit rebellious. It was just like fucking pizza night, fucking woo, high-fiving each other back and back, fucking racing in the courtroom over the fucking little desks. Got into the same fucking Maverick that had no windscreen in it, no fucking windows around it. Like, at that point, we were wearing ski goggles in the fucking winter because of the weather and just cruising around with no fucking windshield for like the rest of the season, right? Just like that was, one of the fucking grandest moments. So we go back to the cabin, and we're going to get to the dark bit that I mentioned earlier that just like, I hope you find as entertaining as I did when I remembered it as I was like walking the backyards right here. And as I look out the window, I remember where I was on the steps. That as we spoke earlier, I like that moment where you make yourself laugh. But regardless, we get back to the little cabin, and the people who were coming in and out, as I'd mentioned, people had come as far away from like Calgary, which is like 500 miles, 4 different mountain ranges away. Different paddlers would come out to, and they're not for me, but like fucking with national team members. Even flatwater paddlers would come out, canoeists, kayak, every type of boater. Americans coming up, some American Olympians, guys who've been on Wheatie boxes would come and paddle with us. American team members. They're just like, and for us as a small country at that point, like 20 years ago, whatever it was, 30 years ago now, that we were fledgling compared to like, a fucking team that had like coaches, right? Like coaches and managers and masseuses and, fucking, all the strata of like a successful operation. We're just, at that point, 4 guys in a cabin, all these people are coming to visit. And one of the guys that comes to visit is a guy named Peter Kochi, who was a great paddler, much better than me at that time. He wasn't on the team, but he was probably older as a man, so he had worse competition than I did. He came, and he was unique because he was a dietitian who, not long after that, was working on the film Alive, if you've ever heard Alive, which ironically for this show and story is actually was filmed very close to the town of Invermere where Dickhead with the butterfly knife was, and in a resort called Panorama Mountain Resort, which is a big Canadian ski resort. But regardless, they had them on the mountain simulating the plane crash in the film Alive. And they were actually starving them on the glacier. I kid you not. They were like preventing them from like going to town. They weren't allowed off. They lived in army barracks, like army tents on cots on a fucking sheet of ice. And Peter Kochi, my friend's job at the time as a dietitian, was hired to starve them, Billy. I kid you fucking not. Incrementally, as though they were on the mountain in a plane crash and were about to eat their friends' dead asses, right?
Wow.
They were putting them, and that's probably, if you've not like watched the film Alive, that was the atmosphere of angst that they were like famously like ensconced in. And my buddy Peter was like, you know, instrumental in making sure that they were losing their fucking minds, right? So he comes and he's come up from Vancouver and paddling. I come in, and whether it's the day that my car lit on fire or just after Dan's car rolled or what, you know, whatever fucking fluff in my life had happened that day, I was just back into like on the end of the raft mode, warning people about shitty fucking trout and telling my little stories to my friends. And he's on the fringes of it, and I didn't really know him. And he just said, you should tell that on stage. And for, you know, anybody's belief or understanding, I honestly had no idea that the comedy industry, the comedy world, that stand-up comedy existed in a way that you could tell like stories about your day. I assumed comedians to be telling like jokes.
Yeah.
I just didn't know that there was any facility to like be an entertainer as maybe I was even now and at that time. So just like in that little, I was like, really? And then, you know, I went back to Calgary the next year. I was in college. They had a competition between the University of Calgary and where I went is now a university, but at the time it was only a college called Mount Royal. And I went up in a competition. I came in second place to two guys who did female hurdler impressions with their belly buttons from underneath. And I was only telling jokes and telling stories about my lifetime and my experiences growing up. And you know, it was much more soft, I would say, act. It was, you know, I wasn't like the kind of outrageous character that I might be now. And I came in second place, and I won an album, and that basically made me, at the day, you know, you and I both know in the comedy world, certainly in the UK, but everywhere now, it's just like not a beginner sport, right? Like there, I can tell you that like once I came second place in that competition, like the club was asking when I could work, how often can I actually be there, like as much as possible. Like I basically went from doing like a half decent 5 minutes 22 seconds to like, when can you start?
All right, awesome.
And then and the pinnacle of that was on the half a year, the summer that I was able, and this was just like the beauty moment of probably my entire comedy career, Billy, that when I was able to guide rafts during the day, and then on my little KZ 650 1978 motorbike, the first bike I ever had, I'd fucking hump it into town, freezing my ass, fucking army boots on, and fucking, you know, no leathers back in those days, just jeans, just shivering to keep warm. And then I would be on stage Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. It meant that because I would be able to do the river raft trips on the Friday and the Saturday, that everybody else would be going to the sleepover camp, and I would be like, rather than having to chop wood and tote water and do all the bullshit for the customers, I'd be going the other way down the fucking highway to make them laugh. And it was just awesome. And then fucking finish the show, boot it back, like sometimes 2 hours to a place called Mountain Air Lodge, and put up where we had camps there, would park the bike, and then be taking customers once again down at this point, it was the Red Deer River outside of the Bow. But it was just like, that was the best time of my life. I was paid for 2 trips. Per trip, I was paid cash, and then was doing like 5 shows over that same period of time. And it was just like...
And as you were doing these shows, were you scripting your stuff, or you just kind of going on stage and telling the stories naturally? And what do you do now? Do you plan shows?
No.
And, you know, develop material?
I have like a deck of cards. I think of it as, where I've got go-tos that I want to do, things I want to do, things that like things that are in my mind to do, and then things that like come spur of the moment. And obviously the spur of the moment things.
Back in those days, was it kind of just natural?
No, desperation tactics back in those days. I had to cover like usually an MC back in those days, which was my capacity when I was first hired. It's fucking incredible when you think like the least experienced guy would go on and do 15 off the top.
Yeah.
To warm them up, Billy.
Yeah.
The least experienced guy on the bill to go out there and fucking get him going, right? Like the madness of the pressure of that to even imagine. But that was it. And then you would bring on, in the particular clubs I was working, your next guest was an improv troupe that would do like a 30, 35-minute set, the middle spot, as they would call it. And then I would come again. There's no breaks or intervals as you do over here. I would do a 5-minute, 7-minute spot to bring on usually just some like mind-blowingly spectacular American talent that just like I was very lucky early days to just like see people that could do fucking 6 encores easy, Billy, easy. Just like, and I'm talking like I've never made crowds laugh like those people made.
Any names in particular that would stand out?
Mark Pitta is one. If you look online, you might see that. Jeff Stilson, and not like for us, this is actually an interesting concept to imagine that back in those days, like the worst of them, Billy, 20 Lettermans.
All right, okay, now
honestly, like you like. And they were, and some of them, Billy, which is crazy because like they're on the farm team. It'd be like American NFL players coming up to star in the Canadian CFL Football League. These comedians who are like the best I'd ever seen in my life, with just like credits coming out the fucking arsehole on like fucking like the Tonight Show back in those days. Leno, right? Like a lot of them were middles in the States. Because you forget, like America's got that star system, right? Like they've got Robin Williams is also around, right? Yeah. He's not going to come to fucking Calgary on a Tuesday. Are you fucking kidding? And stay in the fucking like flat? Are you kidding? Like these guys weren't even like A-League where they're from, and they were like by far some of the best talent I'd ever seen. Just like fucking mind-blowingly fucking wicked. So I'm like wedged in, and if you ask like what my game was, if I survived the first 15 minutes, like literally fucking rodeo, right? Like, and then you're like back here, like there's no social distancing, Billy. Everything's fucking hammered. If it wasn't whiskey, it was fucking tequila. It's fucking party night. Just fucking headbutting fucking people they know in the toilet. It's just like an atmosphere. It's cowboy town, right? Calgary, fucking just like as close to fucking the old Wild West as you can dream. And just like for audiences, I'd actually, to take away from my own hometown, Edmonton, I would argue, for my money, like, same as Glasgow, Edinburgh, basically. Like blue collar, Glasgow makes it. Always. It's always going to be it. That's just how it is. And for us, Calgary was like white collar. And Edmonton, the like fucking main rival of my upbringing, was by far the cooler city. I say cooler humanity-wise. Shittier city on almost every level, but there wasn't a moment where you would do a weekend or a show and it didn't matter that I was from their main rival down the town that would like down the road, that if I even whispered where I was from, you'd literally like have to deal with a minute or so of just like, like somebody might just fucking make a run at you, right? Just for that, by Canadian rivalry standards. But regardless, there wasn't a weekend that I ever did in Edmonton that I wasn't invited back to somebody's fucking house or 10 people's houses just to like party with strangers that were, piling you full of, you name it, mushrooms, the main thing, but like everything that Canada's famous for. So we have that like kind of, beautiful atmosphere. But the middle bit, if I rode that fucking 15 minutes and I fucking lived, or if I ran out, as you're like talking about, if my repertoire was done because I thought I was going to do 15 minutes with my 25 fucking that I have in my life, suddenly like I'm 7 minutes in and I'm looking for like creating the 26th minute that I need. You know what it's like, comedy. You're just like fucking, hey, that didn't go as well as I thought, did it? I have no more ideas here, So that happened like a fucking lot. And the middle bit, to my shame, but it's true, I would always have a box of crackers and I would have a whistling competition with people at the audience. I just get like strangers up, try and get the most dynamic people. That's probably like one of my strengths in my life, touring, that I would like get the most dynamic people into my world. I feel like the UK and like all, my experiences have taught me that people are as funny as you are by far in the world. And if you can tap into like the funniest people in your room, you're going to have assets that are, I've learned and felt in my entire life to delegate to people who are also funny. Comedy is not a competition for me. If you're funny too, I'll repeat what you said so everybody can hear it, because I'm here to have a good time too, right? So
basically a lot of beginner comedians and stuff, they're kind of competing against each other, but they don't realize if everyone is good, then the audience enjoy it more, and then they come back. Basically,
that's my feeling. It's an egalitarian thing, maybe a little bit, but who would go like up on stage in fucking Dublin or Glasgow or fucking even here, probably some are listening, Edinburgh or fucking Aberdeen, whatever, and like in a fucking twisted like delusion, assume that you're the funniest person in the room.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of fucking mental patient would assume that? Like, you're just like starting at the deep end if that's your fucking belief in life. But regardless, I that was my game to get through the 7-minute, 5-minute piece in the middle. They'd try and whistle. They're fucking spitting fucking crackers all over the audience. Okay, here's the headliner from fucking New York. And I get the fuck out of there and be on the motorbike at fucking 1:30 in the morning after the second show. Just fucking into the mountains, fucking deer and fucking antelope, fucking no brakes back in those days, just fucking nuts, right? But got through that, and I have to take you to the dark story that came into my mind in the backyard that I've warned you about a couple of times now. We're back now in the cabin. We're back in Cultus Lake, and I constantly, search the internet for what's going on in Cultus Lake. I feel like it's part of my heart and my life and my experience, and it's a great place for Sasquatches, and kind of just a very curious part of people. If you search Cultus Lake, Kettle Valley Trail, Teapot Trail. There's like some pretty serious, awesome Sasquatch interactions there, including missing people.
All right.
Including like people that were never seen again, that were thought to be abducted. Honestly, like that's I'm very like Sasquatch conscious of experiences that people have had, and that's a rarity anywhere. Like for Sasquatch encounters to have actual like humans go missing, pretty fucked up. So that's, if anyone's curious about that, Cultus Lake, British Columbia, search that area, especially between Yarrow, the next town over is YARROW, and the Yarrow Cultus Road is just like, again, to overuse festooned, a lot of fucking over the ages sightings and experiences in that area. But regardless, we're back in the cabin. And we're the four guys, and time is dripping, as you'd imagine. We're just like eating fucking tuna as much as we can to try and keep our fucking our body strength. And like I can't even dream of doing 2, let alone 3 workouts a day, Billy. I don't know if you work out yourself, but like 1 workout a month is like real, right? Like, but to be like working out with fucking men multiple times a day. It was just, all we ate was pasta and tuna. It was the cheapest shit that you could put into yourself. I don't even remember like eating chicken. That would have been like, that's why like when I celebrated with pizza night, you can't even imagine what the fuck that like meant as a metaphor for like what a party we were going to have. Nobody fucking $20 on a pizza. Are you fucked? We could have like we could buy a tuna. Just like that would be fucking mad. That'd be like a week of living. You'd never fucking spend like that. So it was like, that perspective in that world. And we have this. We decide to have a barbecue, a party in our backyard. And I remember we were paying $150 a month for rent. It was fucking 37. 50, like I was paying like $30 for my room, for my bunk, and it's just crazy by Canadian standards. That like here, that's like 15 quid, 10 quid for fucking rent for a month. Like an unreal, like the margins that we were dealing with. And so we decide, like totally out of our own characters, to go into the backyard and have our big campfire. And I'm talking like when we decided to have this fire, Billy, like we didn't have like hatchets or anything. We didn't have the money to buy hatchets. We didn't have like fucking tools. So we were just, I don't know if you've ever done this. I'm sure, well, I forget who I'm talking to, Scotland. You know, when you just like burn wood in half so you can use it to burn it in half again. And you just like, you got no axe or fucking saws. So just like big men moving big wood onto a big fire, and then when it half burns in half, fucking you know, jump on it and fucking crack it, and then put that on the half, and then the other one on the half, and then the other one on the half, and here's a bit of a fucking fence board, and what the fuck's in your car, and that'll burn. Fucking, so we're out there and we're fucking hot dogging it up, fucking like a real celebration for us. I maybe even had marshmallows. It would have been mad too, but we're like having it was like it was a luxury for us to do that, and our next door neighbor, who's like, we're between the house now. So the next house over, we're there in the backyard, and we got our big fucking fire going. And I remember this, our neighbor who was like kind of a bit ornery, you might call him. He'd like never speak to us. We'd always, we're like fucking young, friendly guys, gregarious, always engage him. Hey, how you going? But he was always just like kind of like Bates Motel at the fucking window, right? And so we got this big barbecue going in the backyard, and he is like he's like a fucking gargoyle there the whole cunting time. I kid you fucking not, right? Like and again, we're just like we could climb a tree to get away from a serial killer. We're like in the shape of our fucking lives. There's no potential intimidation from him on our part, but we're just like, hey, every time he kind of like catches your eye, he's there with a hot dog. Hey, hey, you want a hot dog? I can dress you up, one. You want a hot dog? Just fucking like trying to engage him, right? Nothing. Just fucking searing fucking eyes of the devil, right? So we get through it. We fucking burn, all the wood in half that we got. There's, a few fucking half logs left, and fucking whatever, bucket of water, piss on it. Fucking the night's over, and so fucking week or two later, maybe 10 days later, our I mentioned what the rent was worth because our fucking our landlord came up, and to my shame, right now I think it was Scott, but I can't remember the guy's name exactly. But he was just like kind of just a guy who I barely knew except to hand fucking nearly $20 to once a month, right, for 4 months of my tiny life, fucking giving it back to him. And he shows up, which I think he had to come from quite a way, so it was a bit of an event when he came to get the money back in the day. Remember when cash was around, man? Cash, man. Drive through the mountains, cash, fucking amazing, right? And so he shows up, and we hand him the fucking envelope, and ask for the envelope back because we don't have to buy two of those, and and give him the money, and then just had a little exchange with him. He said, fucking the old guy next door. What kind of paddlers did you have here last year or the year before? Because he fucking, I don't know if he doesn't like boats, or he doesn't like the smell of our fucking gear, or he doesn't like dudes in wetsuits, or whatever the fuck's going on here. That guy's just fucking like, he hates us. We were like fucking 10 days ago, we had a big bonfire in the backyard, and we're cooking hot dog. I'm inviting him to, do you want a hot dog? He just fucking searing fucking eyes at us all fucking night. Just like pregnant pause, huh? Just that fucking moment where we've all kind of fucking told our little story of how he's not engaging us. Fuck, Billy. Just deadpan as you like, Canadian fucking landlord. You guys don't have a backyard. What?
Yeah.
We had like a fucking 6 foot, 8 foot, 2 meter diameter bonfire in this guy who already didn't like us front fucking yard.
All right. And that's why he's standing staring at you.
The little bit that we were not understanding. So like the whole fucking time that we didn't realize that fucking arseholes we were being. And this is the darkness. This is what caught me off guard to giggle the other night. It caught me off guard when we tried several times and we couldn't connect with him. But we tried several times to apologize. And in between the fire, the incident, and being able to speak to him again, he died.
Oh my God! Right. Well.
It's one of the hanging particles of my life that, like, I owed an apology to a fucking dead guy, and we learned that because his son came up to deal with the proceedings, and it was just like, it was one of those moments in life, right? It was like, you're not gonna get that one back.
Yeah.
Like,
shit happens.
Yeah, shit happens. We kicked that guy right into the fucking hole, Billy.
You didn't do it intentionally, though, so you can be.
No, I know, but I'm like, fucking making sport of him now, and he's still, in the earth. Yeah,
Well, that's what we've got to do with these experiences. If you make humor out of them, basically.
Totally. I don't know if you're the same way. You just wander around hoping something like that happens, and you can harvest it, and I love that I mentioned it earlier. That's what I love about comedy, that it explores constantly and all the time, and it's something that I thank you very much for having me on your show, because I appreciate that experience of like exercising your mind and remembering your memories. Because when I go back home, I find like when I talk to my friends who are a lot of them in the stories that I've told you even tonight, they fucking don't remember any of this, Billy.
All right.
They don't remember any of it. They're just like, fuck, was that me? And I'm like, of course you were fucking driving. How the fuck are you? But of course, they haven't told that story 25 fucking times over the last 30 years, right? Yeah. That's what's so amazing about comedy, that I love about it. I love like just having that moment of like, fuck, oh, where were we? Oh, yeah, they were there. That guy was there. Oh, fuck, I was dating her. Holy shit. I love that experience of just bouncing through your own mind. And that's one of the greatest things. Like people don't, mention, what do we miss about comedy? What do I most miss about comedy? Maybe your engagement tonight prevented me from doing so. It might be crass. People don't think about it. But one of my favorite things is it keeps you regular, Billy. When was the last time you did a fucking comedy show anywhere that you didn't take a shit before you went on stage?
Oh, yeah.
Like never, right? It keeps you drinking fucking water and orange juice. It keeps you drinking like healthy things for yourself, for your mind, for your fucking thoughts, for your physiology, to be sharp, to be performing. And it's not good to have comedians fucking, eating improperly, not exercising their mind, not exercising their humor, not remembering their jokes, not remembering their reference points, not experiencing, each other. That's so important in our vocation in our life.
This is what, the reason just for the audience, the reason I contacted Craig, I was aware of him as a comedian. I interviewed Tom Stade, and he mentioned you during that interview, and I was aware. But the reason I asked you on the show is because of your posts on Facebook are very much, talking about what's happening these days.
Inflammatory.
Yeah, well, basically that's the kind of stuff that is not getting said enough. But if the government did care for our health so much, they wouldn't be shutting down and locking people in the house. If this is all about health, we need this laughter, we need the human connection and all that stuff, so it's totally the antithesis of what it's supposed to be about,
Keeping you off the beach, Billy. Are you kidding me? The number of people that didn't wake up when that was their directive, you're just never going to wake out of that stupor. Yes. You don't realize people who are trying to prevent you from getting ill are keeping you from the fucking big red dot in the sky. You're fucking out of your mind. You're never going to be helped. I'm afraid. And there's a bushel of you out there. I'm afraid to be so condescending, but like, if you haven't pieced together that these people are not on your team and don't have your well-being in mind, you're fucking over. You're done. It's already finished for you. If you're not already like fucking suspicious of people like that, treating you like a prisoner, you're just forget it. Forget it. You're off the end already.
Yeah, people seem to be loving this, and so it's like virtue signaling when they get their mask on. It's like, I'm holier than thou, and trust the government. They know what's best, and
it's a new way to be submissive. And right on, I find it terrifying, Billy. It's utterly terrifying, and it's going to lead to worse and worse and worse places. And I'm glad that there's pushback. I feel like maybe I'm a bit ebullient tonight. I'm fucking happy tonight because I've been on social media. You asked me what I was doing before this. I was in the bath on social media, and I may be in my bubble, and I'm definitely in some sort of bubble, definitely on Twitter. I was banned for 30 days today from the other platform, but I'm in that.
We're on just now.
Right. And that's the situation that I'm in, and I was on Twitter today, and again, it might be only my bubble, but I feel like people are waking the fuck up. People who fucking never for a moment thought about vaccines to the depth that they're now being forced to. And these people are fucking wise. Some great journalists who are looking into it for the first time ever in their lives, just thinking, why is it so fucking urgent for these dickheads to be terrorizing the public, to be terrorizing multiples of populations of humanity with something that is no more at all, for sure, as deadly as the flu? For sure not. And They'd never trapped us in our houses before for the flu. Nobody made us fucking put on masks to go to the fucking shops and grab an apple for the flu. They're liars. Yep. They're dead criminals. They're criminals. Yep. They have mismanaged this to the point, and people think like, why are the Tories, the Tories that you expect are going to be. I hesitate to say anything, basically, Billy, because I don't want you to be pulled off the air. In honesty, the stuff that I want to talk about right now. Well, the point that people can't wrap their heads around that who they think are nationalists in the UK are actually globalists.
Well, basically, yeah.
They don't realize that why would the Tories kill off the margin of their electoral victory in the population? Why would they allow willingly and willfully the massacre of the elderly in care homes and old age homes? The massacre.
Yep, exactly.
Murder.
Yep.
Murder. Genocide. Yep. Why are they telling us what we should fucking do on Friday when they should instead be in the fucking dock?
Basically, yeah.
That's what's going on right now. They're criminals. And everything they're doing is a distraction and a diversion from what they're up to. And if you think that the Tories, who only won the last election because of the margin of the elderly vote, would massacre those people if they weren't taking orders from above that's far outside of their own fucking party and remit. We are in what is called a coup. We are in a fucking undemocratic, autocratic dictatorship right now. And the more people that fucking cotton on to that, as I saw today on Twitter, people are fucking wising up. They are playing with the fucking beast, as they call it. The beast that is called the revolution. And that's, you fuck with the people, and the people are going to fuck back. And we're in a very, very precarious place in the world right now. I hope I haven't said too much to like.
No, man, if you've not seen my previous shows, I'll say it as well. Basically, the truth is the truth. And first of all, I think we've been in a dictatorship for a long time, and this Tory, Labour, Democrat, Republican, Hegelian dialectic, and all that stuff.
Oh, hey, I'm not shouting for another party.
Yeah. But you're right. You're right. There's a bigger agenda at play here. So this.
Whoa! It's who the secret people are. Why are we not into who's behind these pricks?
Yeah.
Why are we not into that? Who's paying these dickheads?
Yep.
Why does an American billionaire? I heard a podcast today talking about that Mr. G might become a trillionaire. No, Will. They've done the math. He's not involved in only the vaccines. He's not involved in only the vaccines. He's involved in the tests.
Yeah, but do you know about the track and trace as well? 3 months before coronavirus, he's got 100 billion.
They're criminal.
Billion. Yeah.
There's many people that quite rightly think that was never intended to float. That it was never intended to float. That's that's what people forget. There's another analogy for it. People have that mindset that, and I think these aren't even my words. It's a known thing. People have that mindset that like America lost the Vietnam War. Are you fucking out of your fucking mind? You think they fucking lost because they lost 65,000 really unlucky fucking college dropouts? Are you fucking out of your fucking mind? There's a McDonald's in fucking
exactly.
Yes, exactly. Like if you think that like blasting a fucking place to fucking rubble and then putting in fucking multinationals is losing a fucking war.
Exactly.
You're just like out of your fucking skull. So these people.
It was quite a tribal land, Vietnam, and then after it, basically, it had the corporation that's in the fucking system. Yeah.
Of course.
And also, people think the Germans lost the war, but all the Nazis and stuff.
They fucking won the war. If you understand that, of course they did. As did the Japanese for all the same fucking reasons.
Yeah, their economy and everything. Yeah,
I call it the end times, Billy, because the deception is so great, and people better fucking wake up. And you made the greatest point of our conversation. It's the Hegelian dialectic. If you fucking are chasing, if you think you're gonna vote your way fucking out of this. You better put the fucking vacuum hose on the fucking muffler now, because you're
actually. I don't know if Barry is still actually on the line. There's a guy, Barry Nicholl. He mentioned a couple of shows I've done ago. He mentioned Loosh, and I knew Loosh was energy. And basically, there's like demons in this world. I think are feeding off Loosh. And if we really get angry and want to attack these people, I think it's like we're kind of going down to their level.
Yep.
Somehow we have to kind of rise above it and kind of be Christ-like and show ultimate love, but a kind of tough love, you know? Come down heavy on them, isolate them, but get to the core of the problem and not necessarily bloodthirsty go after them, but stop what the fuck they're doing and stand up for right action.
Righteousness. You basically, I think everybody, if anybody's listening to anything either of us have said or anything I've ever said in my life, if you're not ready right now for all of the reasons that you have and everything you've seen that you create your reality with, to die in your fucking shoes where you stand for what you believe in.
Exactly, yeah.
You have some work to do right now.
Yep. But what do people believe? This is the thing. People's minds are just so programmed. You know, people are programmed.
Billy, you got to know what's going to happen right now if they knock on your door and start talking about taking your kids if you don't come with them down to the community center. That's where we're at. We're in that. These people are fascists, and they've got a lot of bootlickers on their team. A lot of people who are just drifting through life and think that they're allowed to carry water for tyranny and take their paycheck and be a key fucking worker, but not argue against any of the injustices of the system. There's a lot of fucking...
I can't stand the subservience and the fucking, you know, it's the...
Scotland's always had that side of them. Let me tell you something. It's a rebel.
Let me tell you something about Scotland, right? There's a guy I know through comedy, and he'd done this Twitter post, and he said he was in a shop, and there was a guy down the front who wasn't wearing a mask, and he was kind of arguing with the shop assistant, and a guy in the queue said, basically, he said, "Get on your fucking mask or fucking leave, you cunt." And everybody in the queue nodded.
He's got to go on a holiday to Canada, that guy.
Everybody in the queue nodded, and then the guy, the comedian,
when he wakes up when he did wrong.
But the last,
and then tell him what he did wrong after that. If he wakes up.
Yeah, but you understand, he was telling them to put the mask on. And all the guys in the queue wanted them to put the mask on. And they're saying, get out if you don't put the mask on. And then the last comment was, "God, I love Scotland." To me, that's so unbelievably sad. What happened to the Scottish Braveheart spirit and standing up against, your oppressor and, Flower of Scotland and all this stuff? It's unbelievably been fucking brainwashed out of people, and we've been pacified,
Hideously. Yeah. I see that. I spend a lot of time in Scotland, as you know, so I know that experience, and I feel the same way. It's not the Scotland that I knew when I first went there in 1997 even.
Yeah, it's all the stuff in the food and things like that as well, of course, and the technology and stuff is like just made people...
Maybe before we completely trash the place, it also for me holds a warmth of generosity that's rare in any other part of the world. I feel like with the Campbell last name, I have experienced that in my own world in Canada. That's what I associate with Scotland. People who have little but share lots. That's always been my experience with Scotland. But I feel like, it's been usurped in many, many ways. It's just been utterly tried. It's because you've been globalized. People in Scotland that think they're going to fuck Westminster off and then start sucking on fucking Strasbourg and fucking Brussels dick. Are you fucking out of your fucking minds? Are you fucking completely out of your fucking skulls? You think that's fucking freedom? Fuck. Holy, go get the fucking Hoover hose, start the fucking car, and get in your fucking shed for the last time. You're out of your fucking mind. Fuck me. Sorry, Billy.
No, basically, I'll have a kind of... I would love to kind of inspire people, 5 million people. If we could get... See,
5.5.
But this is the thing. This whole hoax is based on a very, very simple lie. That this flu thing is actually flying around. There's no such thing as germ theory. The contagion is not proven, and it's not true. A virus comes in our body.
Believe it's proven. It is proven to them, though, right? Yeah. Because remember,
if we could get through to 5 million people and get them on board to have one nation to stand up against us and say "fuck your mask, fuck your bullshit," it could be like an inspiration to other countries. We might be shite at football and everything, but we could do one thing to stand up against us and then inspire others. But it's not going to happen, but it's just a wee dream,
It's not going to happen. It's got the same chance of happening in Ireland, and that ain't going to happen. We're completely, as they say, dealing with powers beyond our ken. And that's it. It's a great deception. I mentioned it probably to overlap you or to speak over you, that people do not process when they're scared they're going to die, Billy. And that's what you and I both know. They have been put in a place of fear, a place of anxiety. They're not thinking about what you're analyzing. They're not calmly assessing how they've been deceived. They are in a place where they think that if they catch COVID, if it even, as you say, exists, it can be transferred in the way that it's told in the news that it can be, they think they're going to die, Billy. They're going to fucking die. Oh, my God. I'm going to fucking die. Right? Like the infinitesimal potential that they're going to fucking die is so beyond it. It's even too ridiculous to even like fathom how infinitesimally rare it would be for someone of yours and my age or health or category of fucking statistic to be adversely affected to the degree of death. And that I'm taking into the fact that then other people are like, but 20% of all people who get it are their eyes don't work anymore and their lungs are never going to be the same. And they're, it's just like 80% beyond 85%, and some believe 90%. And I argue as they find more and more and more and more cases, but find less and less and less with treatments, deaths, that over 90% of people barely, if at all, had any fucking idea they had it at all. That's the reality. The number of people that talk about the percentages of people who will be either dead or completely fucked by it are actually leaving out of the fact that the chances that they would even know that they had it on a Tuesday when one little fucking teardrop of snot fell onto their fucking mustache was when they had the COVID-19 killer fucking virus. And that's the fact of it, unfortunately. But people are in that mindset that, you want to kill my grandpa. You're trying to kill my dad. You're trying to kill my whole family. People are just fucking nuts. They're using irrational fears of their own making to bully other people and to present their own insecurities. And Brits are fucking amazing at it. That's why I say go to Canada, because it's like Scotland. It's much more like Scotland, where people will fight you in the fucking grocery store. No problem. No fucking way. We're not going to go outside. I'll fucking kick the shit out of you in the hotel lobby. That's where it's going to happen, right? Because we're here. And that's how much I don't like you now, right? Like the idea of like chivalry is fucking non-existent. But Brits are not that way. They're passive aggressive, fucking scheming. If you've heard that expression, the French, the Russians, who else calls the Brits from the performance prior to World War I, perfide Albion. The perfide Albion. It's fucking the reek of the fucking English. The deceit. And if Scottish people don't fucking know how far back that goes and how many wars you've lost because of it, you just fucking don't know the game on the field. That's what's happening right now. You're being deceived and used by people.
It's incredible.
It's incredible, but it's a repeat of history. It's happened before. It's what got men into the trenches. It's what got us to fucking murder each other from the Boer Wars and beyond. Past that. It's men at the top manipulating through fear and using the media. And we talked, I think, a little bit prior today in our pre-conversation, setting up the technology, the idea that like there's more going on in terms of like malnutrition, what kind of food that we've been able to afford. Before you get into the medicines that people are on, they're completely already poisoned by pharma's medicine. Poisoned by Rockefeller medicine. People are like already in dire straits. Why, people are like, why do Brits die so much? People are wondering that about fucking America. How come America's death toll is so high? Because they're the unhealthiest cunts on fucking earth. What the fuck is wrong with your brain? How can you fucking not understand that people who are already in the fucking grave are going to fall into it when they catch the fucking flu? What is fucking wrong with people that they can't fucking piece together? Why us? What can it be happening? Are you fucking out of your fucking, because you eat fucking hot dogs since you're a fucking fetus, you dickhead? Because you fucking are full of fluoride, you fucking moron. Because your brain is a fucking sink trap for fucking aluminium and mercury. What the fuck is wrong with you that you don't think that fucks up how you think about fucking everything else you do in life? When was the last time you fucking exercised or ate a fucking apple? I used to say that on stage. Fucking Simon. Sorry, Billy. I'd be dealing with people from stage, and the number of times that I just thought, this guy's just a fucking poisoned cunt. The number of times you thought, and they just think, half of your fucking problems, whatever they fucking might be, that definitely aren't me because I just fucking got here, are the fact that you didn't fucking wake up this morning and have a bowl of fucking fruit after your run. That's basically like the key to almost fucking 40%, I would argue, of the British fucking issue is that they're in very, very poor psychological and physical shape. They're not even in any condition to fucking assess what the fucking size of their shoes are, let alone how the fucking government is fucking them using a shadow government that's paying people surreptitiously. The fucking the stink is so fucking hideous and rotten that we talked about this before the conversation started today, before the cameras came on. All that we can do, Billy, is what we've done tonight. Just say your piece. That's all we fucking can do. Just say your fucking heart. Fucking defend your place. Be fucking kind to your loved ones. Be fucking who you are every time you can. And that's all you can do.
Basically, you've only got your own integrity. You have to sleep with yourself at night and look yourself in the mirror, basically. But people don't do that again because they're trained to look outside themselves all the time, and blame others.
And they're scared.
Yeah, they're scared. You see, you mentioned about the fact that you were a road comic and you were living like kind of a precarious life and just not doing things. People look for that security, but people look for that security of a job. They've come out of school, they've got a job, they've watched their football, they watch their TV. Whereas I've lived a life where I've lived in circumstances, not ate for 3 days because I've been living in a foreign country, can't work legally and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And lots of other bad shit's happened in my life. I mean, hundreds of bad shit's happened. Basically, you lose the fear of the worst thing happening because it's already happened. So basically, that kind of gives you that freedom. Like, fuck it, let's shut the country down.
When your parachute doesn't open, you don't give a fuck if your shoe falls off.
So a lot of people are just, so dependent on the nanny state, so dependent on the things being as they are,
That's that's part of the structure of the deception here. How many people are dependent viably, economically, on the very fucking NHS that facilitated the actions of the government on the fucking elderly. How many people how many people that are key workers in this part of the world? How many fucking people actually live under the umbrella, the social safety net? They don't give a fuck if they work 3 days a week, Billy. They don't give a shit. They got a fucking laptop on their lap. They're eating their favorite fucking food. They don't have to fucking have some asshole in their face when they're in the fucking train for 40 fucking minutes. They're getting paid the same fucking thing that they got when they were working 5 days a week and having to go to fucking Motherwell to do it. And they don't give a fuck about it. They're not fighting for their fucking rights. They don't give a shit. They got to wear a fucking panty on their fucking face. They'll do it. They fucking love to do it. They'd rather it was something else deep in their fucking throat because that's the kind of fucking people you're dealing with. It's fucking sad, but it's the fucking case. That's what's going on. There's no heart of rebellion. You mentioned it in Scotland. There's no fucking rebelliousness left in this entire
I basically, I got put on furlough, for 8 weeks. And then I got the call to come back, right? So
where's that coming from? That fucking pipe dream.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So I goes back to work and they started doing this induction and I says, what the fuck is going on here? What's all this all about? There's no fake virus and you need to stand up and draw a line in front of the managers and the HR and all this stuff. And I had a 5-minute rant and then I was just like, oh, we put all this stuff in place. It's for your own good. I'm just doing my job, basically. And I was like, but I'm walking around this workplace and it's like nothing's happening. It's like, it's just business as normal. Just let's go on. I'm like, the fucking world's falling to fucking bits out there. Yeah. It's fucking a big train coming right out in their face, and it's time to fucking look at it and start dealing with it and start talking about it,
It's your world. It's my world. It's some of our worlds. They've done it very craftily. They've created us, the people who want freedom for everybody, as the enemies of all. They've created that in the media, and they've given from what I've seen of your shows before and your knowledge and how you explore concepts. And it's wonderful. Even tonight, I realized that when I broach a subject, you're already very au fait with it and you're aware of it. But if people don't realize that's the class of the Brits. They fucking used to own India. How fucking mental do you think fucking divide and conquer goes? That's what they fucking do. They're the best at it on the entire fucking earth. People think that America didn't even free themselves from the Brits because they're still fucking tethered to fucking decisions that the Brits make. Like fucking having the Americans think that they're free people is the best thing the British Empire ever did. They don't have to deal with their fucking bullshit anymore and they can still profit off the cunts. That's fucking happened. But part of that strata is the middle, upper, and fucking, establishment class. People don't realize realize that the reason that they give cops, and it's not as palpable, they're actually much more idiosyncratic and particular about it in the UK. But places like Canada, it's a study of your life, because you start to realize, how come the kid whose dad's a cop got a nice truck? How come the fucking kid across the street whose mom is a nurse, how come they got the really nice car? And then you realize, because that's how it fucking works. They pay the middle class to make sure that cunts like you and I don't eat the fucking assholes that are deceiving us at the top. And that's what's going on. And it's been going on for fucking centuries. And it's until this fucking thing dies of the heat death or fucking nuclear catastrophe, or fucking, as Bill Gates says, fucking wait till the next one comes.
That's going to be good.
Just like how anybody's listening to fucking somebody as lunatic as that from fucking, I've dealt with Americans my entire life. If they're talking, they're fucking lying. And, the only people that are better at lying than them are the cunting Brits. It's fucking, I have.
But again, you can't get too lost in the British American, because there's like an overall thing,
systems. Of course, it's not. It's nothing to do with nationality. Zero. It's the structure of the system that's placed on the people.
The story that we're given.
When you think of social safety nets, it's why I always say this, and I hope if there's any fucking optimism I can give to yourself or your fucking listeners, that the only hope we have is America. The only hope. You can take the piss out of the Americans. You say this or that. They like guns and they're too big. I wouldn't want to be one of them. Whatever stupidity. They have a constitution that gives them rights that you can't even fucking dream of. We are not in the conversation. Places like Canada, places like the UK, we are fucking royal subjects. We are fucking not even. We're hardly a half a citizen. America is the only place that's going to get us out of here. They're either going to get us out or they're going to get us killed. And that's the only chance we have. We should all be glued on what America fucking even half farts, because it's going to affect the rest of our lives.
Have you been looking at, this? I agree, the guns were a very important thing to hold on to for something like this, to defend yourself from government.
But it's affected American politics now.
But what they've done is,
I can't wait to hear the butt.
Yeah, but what they've done is, they've pacified all these patriots and stuff by getting them to believe in this Q and the Trump narrative,
True, absolutely.
And that's basically splitting the truth movement. And now a lot of people are just sitting and trusting the plan. And meanwhile, Trump is unloading, like, their vaccines are coming, wear a mask.
Of course. He's a globalist too.
Well, he's in the back pocket of certain people.
Of course he is. He's up his arsehole of fucking Mr. G. Just like fucking Johnson is. Just like all of the SAGE members are. Every fucking SAGE member, except for the military fucking ones that they can't get the details on because they're military. Are you fucking kidding me? That's all that this fucking show is. And again, like, they think that Q is a fucking British psyop. And I fucking lean towards that. There's no reason that, if you don't know the relationship between the Brits and the Yanks in terms of like using each other as, to loophole, basically, fucking how did the Yanks listen to Merkel's phone calls? By fucking employing the Brits to do so. That poor kid that, was fucking killed on his motorbike. He wasn't killed by fucking American spies. Are you fucking kidding? He was fucking killed by people who are fucking illegally in listening posts and listening stations for the Brits, because the Brits don't want to be spying on their European neighbors, so they get the fucking Yanks to do it. And the same thing happens in the States with the Brits in the same position. Sorry. So
what's going to happen in things like the UN and stuff, when it comes to military on the street, they'll bring foreign troops into the country.
Of course, which they've already done in France. They've been doing it in France for 3 years. The fact that they've convinced British people that fucking the Yellow Vest movement is right wing. And I came this year. One of the things I thought about before we started talking, Billy, I thought today I wanted to impart to you, because it's true, that I came to the UK. One of the reasons I came here, one of the great motivators that I came to the UK for, was because I thought you were way more switched on than Canadians.
Right.
Honestly, what a fucking disappointment in my sad fucking life to see what's going on now. It wasn't like I didn't see the writing on the fucking wall 10, 15 years ago. However, it's now more embarrassing than ever. I've never seen a place so fucking lost in my fucking life. And that, Canada is the land of the lost. I don't know if anybody's going to be like, no wonder we're friendly, because there's nothing else going on. There's no you to go to a place that's so non-controversial. It's just, we call it the philosophy is the beer's cold. Why would you care about any of the shit that you and I talked about tonight when the beer's cold? You're on a mosquito fucking, covered lake. There's lake trout and fucking rainbows the size of your fucking leg jumping up, eating fucking groups of fucking insects. Maybe we'll catch them tomorrow. Maybe we won't. What do you want to do? Oh, the beer's cold. Nobody is talking about what the fuck the French are up to, or how the Brits are fucking fooling the Scots, or how the Europeans are fucking in and, fucking colluding with the fucking, maybe the Russians. Did the Russians interfere with the what do you call it? The referendum, your independence referendum, all this, like, people aren't down rabbit holes. Some are, but to a much lesser degree, because why would you be? Your life, like the conversation started, because you're on your fucking mountain bike, and 10 minutes later, you're fucking drinking out of a lake with your hands and not worrying about fucking shitting yourself for a year. That's Canada. Why would you fucking be stuck in whether or not you're going to live or die tomorrow, or needing to wear a mask to go and buy your food? Nobody's in that kind of mindset, but they're going there. They're being herded in, just like the Brits. They're just a different type of livestock, being fooled with more idiosyncratic fucking tools, and, distracted with their, hey, let's watch hockey. Oh, look at the pretty girls. Oh, they're going to shovel the ice while the Zamboni's off. And people are just, like, lost. They're fucking, like,
basically, I've been trying to talk about these things for a long time, and you do your bit and you think, oh, people aren't getting, or they're not interested because they've got their lives. But then since this lockdown, and the lack of interest and awareness, it's just like, fucking hell, this is what I've been up against all these years. Yeah. No wonder I fucking no get anywhere, because people's fucking, and
I know.
The brain the size of a pea,
Imagine how quickly the fucking room would have cleared if we were in a live setting right now. That's just like you and I have had that experience where you, like, when 911 happened. When you're, like, talking to fucking people, you think, that's when I realized that I was fooled. I thought the Brits were totally switched on. They realized that the government was fucking them, and that, the perfide d'Albion, to know that, like, to know that they let fucking Coventry get fucking carpet bombed because they didn't want to give away fucking secret codes, and all the fucking nonsense that's gone on over the fucking, William Wallace. You fucking name the, like, betrayal of history. You're not, like, cottoned onto the fact that that's how these fucking people are in power. And then fucking 911 happens right in front of people, and you fucking mention that there might have been something untoward or deceit, or doesn't that not add up for you in a live comedy setting? And fuck me, you may as well just, like, jump in a trench and have a knife fight with a fucking stranger.
It's funny you say that, because 2 days after 9/11, I done a poem about it. It's called The Plain Facts. It's the title of the poetry book I've got.
Yeah.
And basically, that went down like a lead balloon. And then about 1 week after that, I done a comedy skit where I was talking about 9/11, and people were like, oh, I'm not here to listen to this. I was trying to make it funny, but basically, it was obviously quite a raw thing at that time.
Yeah.
But, fucking hell, is that not comedy was supposed to be about?
Exactly. Fucking play with that. I've shut myself down. I don't know if you caught today. They believe, and I'm not going to say this because I know it's true, but there's a rumor certainly right now going on that 4 volunteers for one of the COVID vaccine tests in the Ukraine is believed to have killed 4 people. Again, I'm saying this as a comedian who read something. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a fucking journalist. I don't know whether or not that's absolutely true. But if it is, I fucking laughed for all the right reasons when I read that today. Because if you fucking die because you volunteered for something that, if you even, like, fucking know 3 words in the English language and you want to search, like, fucking a vaccine enhancement, or immune enhancement, or all the reasons that they already know that coronavirus vaccines are some of the most difficult and temperamental to bring to market, because in their experience, almost every one of them, prior to the ones that they're inflicting on people right now and threatening, terrorizing the rest of us with, have massacred the fucking animals that they were tested on. Literally fucking eliminated, like, the ones that weren't dead from the fucking experiment needed to be put down for humanitarian fucking humane reasons, right? That's you would, like, put your fucking sleeve up for these fucking dickheads when all that they've ever done is murder fucking animals in the same type experience. Because that's what people don't realize, is the temperamentality of this, Billy, right? They don't realize, like, how can you risk a vaccine in that wide a population with something that isn't that big a risk to them to begin with? How can you not piece together that, like, any vaccine risk, the most minuscule, tiny vaccine risk, will kill more than COVID, you fucking knucklehead? How can you not drill that in your fucking head? And if you are that stupid that is that in your book?
No, it's not my book. This is a book I would recommend. I'm interviewing the authors of this. They talk about what a virus is, and
yes,
okay. the damage that the vaccines do.
Right.
And basically,
that's way higher risk than the fucking.
There's never been any proof of a vaccine stopping any disease ever.
But there's a lot of proof of the damage they do, and that people don't realize that that's like fucking the bullshit that I say. I say somebody today I rebutted on Twitter. They're just like flu vaccines are some of the safest vaccines. They're just entirely safe, and they've been tested, and they've been and it's like flu vaccines are the most regular, the highest percentage of payout in the VARS system in the States, in the vaccine vaccine injury payout system. Flu vaccines are the most virulent in the entire fucking financial apparatus that's designed to pay out to injured people. How stupid you have to? It's the same as the people that might be dead because of the risk of the vaccine. How do you not know? It's like, can you not fucking read? How can you not fucking figure this out for yourself? It's not like you got to have a friend call you and say, "Did you know the coronavirus vaccines are quite dangerous?" You have the internet at your fucking house? No way! Is that the case? I'm all out of batteries. I'm just talking in my hand. You don't even exist.
No excuse for ignorance now as well. With the internet. In the past we've just had the mainstream media, but now we've got access to all kinds of stuff. There's no excuse for it.
Well, but it's also part of the
control system as well,
the shit splatter, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
The more information you have, as you and I both know, the less information you can collate.
That's right.
That's another thing that you and I both know as comedians. We're blessed with the fact, like, unlike the rest of people that have now lived the comedian's life, we've got all fucking day to people might not even realize we were to start tonight at 8:00. I fucking barely made it to the wire. That's what comedy life is, right? It's not.
I'm not a comedian. I try, but
okay. Well, it's not like I slept in, but your day is just completely occupied, for me anyway, with just fucking processing information, with chasing ideas. I don't know about that one. How does it connect with the other thing?
Yeah.
And that's all we do and for me, it became a process or an ambition to be capable when I was dealing with strangers in a live setting that might present me with information that I have to dovetail off or find a story about.
Well, what happened to me, I went to pubs when I was 18 and I didn't look at school because I wasn't interested. It was boring, and then getting conversation with older guys, I was like, there's stuff I don't know about.
Yes.
And so I better start and then research myself. I go into David Icke and that just opened the floodgates, and then it's like,
sure.
There's people fucking with us and I want to find out how they're doing it.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's just like a never-ending fucking, let's look at layers of onion,
Billy, I don't know if you had the same experience, but for me, it was the same, except it was comedy. Because what does it mean in comedy? It means you don't get the joke.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember same thing as an 18-year-old kid watching these talents that I'm telling you that came up from the States. And I'd be sitting there and just thinking, holy fuck, everyone's laughing but me.
Yeah.
Never, Billy, never, ever did I think they were wrong.
Yeah. Exactly.
Never. I always realized that it was my lack of what I brought to the table that was leaving me out of a laugh. It was leaving me out of enjoyment in my life. And that, was always the drive for me to pursue information. So I understand, a lot of people just are in at the deep end and they don't see the correlation between what's happened previously and what's happening now. You see all the time, there's so many, even right now, I have little fucking tracks that I want to run down, but they're just days of fucking explanation or stories and they're boring. And that, you and I both know that's, the difficulty of the end times is that all the information is not very inspiring. It's disappointing. It's depressing at the end of it. You find out the more information you take on board, the more complex you realize the presented problem is, and the more insurmountable it appears to be able to overcome.
We've been studying this for a long time, but I met a girl about 10 months ago. She'd been living with me for 6 months. She's a bit younger than me, and I introduced her to all this, and she's getting quite depressed because it's just overwhelming, and what do you do with this information? She was looking forward to her life and stuff, and now all of a sudden the government's coming after her, and she's also got diabetes. And this thing about clapping the NHS, which I fucking couldn't stand, because she had a DKA, which is a really bad thing to do with diabetes.
Okay.
And she was in there and she was crying in the hospital. Now, I'm not allowed to visit her. Her mother had to drop her off, and they tried to put a mask on her, which is practically dying, right? And then they get her in there, and she was crying, and she knows about the test for the coronavirus, and she didn't want it. She said no, and this fucking bitch stuck the thing right up to the blood-brain barrier, as you know, and basically who knows what they're doing with that test, you know?
Yes.
And that's like a fucking outrage. But this is supposed to be the people we're trusting with our health.
It's psychological.
You know what I mean?
It's evil. It's utterly evil. It's they're not healers. They're not healers.
No, exactly. They're doctors. What's a doctor do?
Doctor is not a healer. Absolutely. And if I always try, and I'm sure you do as well, you try and find like a positive in it. And one story that I can quickly tell you, maybe before you close, that I had an experience once with a white but Indian waiter in a Gujarati restaurant that I used to frequent in Toronto all the time. It was wonderful, vegetarian food. And this Bill, the waiter, who'd spent most of his life in India and was the patron of this restaurant, he came over, and one time I sat down. It's wonderful. I love moments. In fact, meeting you has been one of these type of moments for me, Billy. And I'm going to say, like, meeting yourself and watching your material prior to our conversation, you're like in a handful of people that I've met in the last like 5-10 years, easy, that I'm endeared to because of the pursuit of what you present and the thoughts that you have. So this Bill guy for me had one of those moments. And I can tell you, like, to give more heartening as well, we in our family, luckily, recently had 3 experiences now, quite recently, of people that just we've known for several years that have just come out of the, you know, where you just for the first time have an intimate conversation with them and realize, oh my God, how fucking switched on they are for what we're talking about. It's just so, inspiring and heartening. But this Bill, I come into the Indian restaurant, I've been there 100 times. I sit down at the table and he just says, when I was a young man, I thought the world was going to end. And then I realized it was only my world. Papa Dom? Like I've remembered it to now. It's probably 20 fucking years ago, but that's like part of, that's also part of what we have to realize, that for most people, and that's again why, Billy, your hair's on fire like mine is, and we're fucking waving. There's a train coming. There's a fucking train coming. There's our fucking tidal wave. It's coming. The sea has been sucked out, like that little 13, 12-year-old girl from Bournemouth that saved all the lives in fucking Thailand at Christmas. Fucking, through her grade school teacher telling her that when the sea gets sucked out, that hell is coming. And there she was telling fucking tourists from all over the fucking world in languages that she didn't speak, get off the beach, get off the beach, you gotta get out of here. And people fucking finally pieced together that this little girl knew what the fuck she was talking about and saved their own fucking lives. That's what we're doing right now, Billy. We're screaming at people who are on furlough, that have fucking laptops on their lap. They're not even hearing us because they're not on your station. They're not listening to the channel. They're watching the BBC that's lying to them and putting them in fear. But at the same time, it's putting them in as something that was studied really, really well on the sinking of I think it's called the Estonia. If anybody follows the sinking in the Baltic Sea of the Estonia, it's an extremely seminal study in how people react in what they call frozen in indecision.
Yeah,
when basically it's Pavlovian. Yeah. It's
but there's have you ever seen the KGB ex-KGB agent in the 80s? He was talking about how basically the KGB are taking down America and they demoralize the people. Once people are demoralized, basically,
how do I know that, Billy? He defected to Canada.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Right?
That guy's got some great videos, and basically that's what people are like. Yeah. They're stuck. They can't get out of it.
Totally. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's what we're up against, basically. And
to toot my own horn, part of my I'm now lapsed, but I was a small plane PPL licensed pilot for a number of years, and one of the things that they teach you, and people should know, that no decision is a decision.
Yeah.
If you're going to sit and do nothing in the face of stimulus that should be inspiring you to do otherwise, you're not doing anything. Don't mistake it for being a moment of.
Look, they're wearing masks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So come on, they are doing something.
Yeah.
The mask is like very symbolic as well. It's also a Freemasonic thing, but it's like, they're silencing us, and it's like a symbol of our fucking, basically we're shutting the fuck up. We're putting a zip over our mouth and just going along with it.
Certainly metaphoric in that way. Absolutely, yeah. They're certainly symbolic. Yeah, totally to mask. But let me mention something that I saw recently. And again, I haven't chased this rabbit hole deeply, but it seems very enticing to me. I saw last night with a close friend back in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, is a guy named Dan Gaskin. He's a fucking phenomenal. If you find him on Facebook, I don't think he's on Twitter, but Dan Gaskin. My shame, I can't spell very well in French. But regardless, it'll be in the show notes. And he's proposed, and I don't know where he got it from, but it seems like there's potential to it to me, that there may be a belief in the intelligence community, and it basically has come on the back of Trump's capitulation to putting on a mask most recently. And we, alluded to it earlier, and it's because, he's also in the pocket and all these things that we know. Yeah. But there may be, and this is what's proposed, a belief that there's an assassination tool is now capable of assessing. And I've said this for quite some time. If you fucking when I'm long dead and gone, and you go into the forensics of my fucking online experience, I've said for a million years that people don't realize with this facial recognition technology, as soon as that is fucking imposed around the world, like we've sold the technology and given the technology to China. People think China's invented all this shit. We fucking Silicon Valley gave it to them. But beyond that, all of this identify you and send your fucking details and everybody knows every minute whether you shit or took a piss or all that stuff. People forget that right now we're in a place where, and you can fucking, I can send you a link where you can see a fucking 9mm on the front of a drone, right? We're at a place right now where you've got a little fucking camera on a drone, and it can find Billy and fucking right in on you, Billy. And is that Billy? Fucking let's get 2-3 angles, and it is. Back. Fucking that's it. You're now as they call it, extrajudicial killing. And it was introduced by Obama. The first time that Americans began to kill American citizens without trial was in Obama's tenure. And that's when really America went off the deep end, when they decided that they no longer have to have fucking trials or anything close to justice, that they could just determine in a little fucking cabal who's going to live and who's going to die today, Tuesday, or next week. And some arsehole sitting in a fucking bunker in fucking Denver, or there's another couple of places in the States where they go have some Taco Bell, get back to the joystick in the afternoon. Hey, look, a guy on a motorbike. Is it him? I don't know. Check the phone number. Okay. Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, that's the guy. How many guys are on the motorbike? 4. One's on the handlebars. Yeah, that'll be fine. Boom! Fucking done. There you go. Like that, your tourists and fucking terrorists all gone in the same fucking bug splat, as they call it. And that's where we're at. People don't realize when they submit to this, when they give their details to the system and allow themselves to be tracked and traced, as I said, where they're shitting and pissing every 2 seconds in the day, they are putting themselves in an assassination scenario in a entirely what do they call it when the state is unaccountable, an unaccountable state. And you're seeing it right now. It's happening. We're in a civil war in America. Go to fucking.
Well, we're in a spiritual war as a people, I think.
As well, but we're in a physical civil war. If you go to Portland right now, anybody? If you as a private pilot, and this is a bit of my fucking interest. If you want to fly over Portland right now, you fucking can't. There's a thing called a NOTAM, a notice for airman. That it instructs you that above 1,000 feet, over a certain waypoint, and in a square mileage, you're not allowed to be below 1,000 feet, or you'll get fucking shot out of the cunting sky, because that's federal territory right now, where the federal troops are on the ground being supported by air cav in the sky, and they're street snatching with totally unidentified. None of them have fucking lapels. Nobody knows who they are. They're just guys in camo working for the feds who are now taking American citizens off the street into detention and who knows where. And everybody knows, again, during Obama's tenure, that means they don't got to fucking talk to them this year, this week, their lawyers ever. They don't have a door to knock on. They have no recourse. And we are in
laws go past like that in Britain as well.
How?
Laws like that have been passed in Britain as well.
Oh God, yeah. We have no rights here. That's why I say it's not our fight. Yeah. We have no fight here. We got. I'm surprised.
Do you know about
people coming through the roof?
Do you know about 5G as well? Like the street lamps and stuff like that are like directed microwave technology weapons.
I do.
Yeah, so that's another thing they can use to fucking direct us.
Out like a signature, a map to the fucking at the nth of a millimeter, like a fucking ski hair, as we say in Canada, of where I am in the house and what the fuck I'm doing when I'm there.
And they can direct that directly at you. Give them a stroke, give them a heart attack.
It's not so you can fucking download fucking movies while you're heading down the M5 at night.
Exactly, it's got fuck all anything to do with that.
What the fuck is wrong with people? It's so the punks know exactly where you are in the house to fucking eliminate you and execute you. That's where we're at. I expect to be snatched anytime. I hold my hands up. You look at my fucking timeline. Anybody, I'm not here for popularity. If you don't have to be my friend. Yeah,
that's why I like it. That's what drew me to you, because you're a warrior basically.
Thanks. And I've lost a lot of friends over this. And we're in a place where I don't fucking care about that anymore. I'm not fighting for fucking friendship or fucking popularity. I'm fighting for fucking what we're going through right now. That's entirely against every right that a human has ever been endowed to. And we're in a, to get back to the what they can figure out through the 5G technology. They're already in that place with things that they call. You can look up a thing called a scorpion in the States that the Americans use, and that's so they know in a fucking apartment block who's there, what phones they're on, how many phones they got, and whether or not they just took a phone call. And that's how they know that they can go down the hall and knock on door number 7 and know who's the fuck going to be there and what couch they're sitting on and in what place, because they've already got the fucking dot on your forehead before they fucking ring the doorbell and say it's a pizza. That's what's going on. And to the degree that these things, Billy, they've gone to court, and the Americans fucking with this technology won't volunteer their information. They've let major cases fall through entirely. They've let them entirely collapse because they don't want to let people know how they know where the fuck you are. And that's already happening. We're there now. And that's fucking past tense. And if you look into the Corbett report most recently, he talks about one of Canada's greatest son right now, James Corbett. Whoever would have thought Canada would be represented by such fucking brilliance in independent journalism. But regardless, that they're, in a place now where their technology, back in the day, do you remember when they used to talk about GPS and how we have the GPS in our old fucking Nokia, but fucking NASA knows exactly which fucking arsehole hair is twitching on you. And that was fucking 28 years ago, man. Do you remember? Remember 28 years ago? I remember 28 years ago when I'm sitting in mushrooms in the fucking kitchen with my buddy Matt, who was one of the fucking original members, if not the original member of the Flat Earth movement. Matt fucking Boylan, one of my closest friends, way back in the day. It's odd to me that I fucking know one of the genesis members of the modern Flat Earth movement. It goes a lot. In your eye, that it goes a lot further back. But back in the day, do you remember when fucking the craziest guy that you knew, the fucking mental patient, the craziest fucking mental guy that you ever knew, in the fucking 92, I'm thinking 93, not even fucking back 91, 92, 93. And back then he was saying, fucking cover your camera, make sure you get tape on the fucking camera. And I had friends that ridiculed my friend about how he behaved, and he was telling them the truth, Billy. He was telling them the God fucking truth. How funny is it that the craziest motherfuckers you and I have ever met in our lives were dead the fuck on it? Right on the truth as it comes out of the fucking mouth of the fucking gods. And people ridiculed them and made fun of them for being paranoid and stupid and not,
Well, they had that Mel Gibson movie where he was a paranoid conspiracy theorist,
Oh, yeah.
And basically that they had that element and made them out to be crazy for having these ideas and talking about JFK or whatever, So that's what it does.
It means crazy. Yes, I as soon as you say Mel, I think of Air America. Have you seen Air America? If you haven't, again, that's one that your listeners and yourself, if you don't know the Air America story, the fact that the CIA created their own commercial airline to bring weapons into Cambodia, particularly, but into Vietnam surreptitiously for fucking years. And Mel Gibson plays a pilot in that. And they're a famous group of pilots that basically were, good at dropping off what they called hard rice. Hard rice was bullets. And they, basically supplied for years and years and picked up money and left fucking weapons in, a secret war. And people don't know that. You think that stopped? You think fucking Operation Mockingbird took a break? You think any of these fucking paperclip fucking slowed down? People are just fucking nuts that they don't think. You look at the 60s and the number of spooks that were involved in American media was off the cunting charts. I fucking 15 years ago was reading some, who are they? A Canadian Global Research. And their article, that's substantiated. This stuff wasn't bullshit. 15 years ago, the Yanks had 22,000 known operatives, government operatives, spooks, working among the American people. This is 15 fucking years ago, Billy, right? 22,000 cunts that are pretending to be the fry guy at a McDonald's in a fucking satellite fucking McDonald's in Chicago. Well, they're fucking taking in information, which of course, like, you know, this type of operation brings us right to George Floyd.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what these people are doing. That's why these people are in Minneapolis, because there's a massive Somali population. The largest Somali population outside of fucking Somalia and Mogadishu is fucking Minneapolis, and nobody's pieced together other than like the fucking clues that we have to know why he was passing off counterfeit money and why he was working with a cop that even his neighbors didn't know was a cop for fucking 22 years of his career, right? That's now all of the information that you could garner from where they worked together on the door is now not there because the riots burned it the fuck down. You know, Americans know what they're doing. When they fucking, you know, when they bomb a hospital, what do? Fucking, do they apologize? No, they don't do that. In Kabul, they fucking bomb a hospital from the fucking sky and murder a whole bunch of, how many, 42 Médecins Sans Frontières doctors? Fucking murdered fucking volunteer doctors in a war zone who are helping out all sides. They fucking murder them from the sky. And then what the fuck do? Do they come back Tuesday and apologize? No, they show up the next day in fucking tanks and drive over the fucking evidence. You're dealing with fucking powers so far beyond your fucking canon, to overuse that term again. We're like, as you say, we're not in a cyber war. I counter you. We're in a war. We're in a fucking war. We're at war right now.
Yes, a spiritual war, basically.
As well, yeah. You need lemons in your pockets.
Anyway, we can basically, you know, we could ramble on for hours, but I'd like to get you back sometime if you want to do it again.
I'd love to. I absolutely love talking to you. I'm entirely inspired by you approaching me, and for the reasons that you did, and for, again, I'll repeat what I've enjoyed of watching you. I saw you doing the little thing on the was it Kupar? You're on the train station platform. What?
Oh, right,
yeah. And just like, I was warmed by that. Obviously, wasn't conspiratorial or down any hole.
Well, we had the fucking bubble thing on the bench, you know.
Yes.
You know,
I caught that.
Fuck off! Fuck off with your bubbles.
That made me think. What the fuck's a bubble? I knew bubble, but
Boris Johnson talks about it.
Of course, yeah. You know, I don't follow mainstream.
In your social bubbles, like, get the fuck, you know.
One of my favorite additions to my life that's happened recently, I've just for the first time, for no like fucking nefarious reasons, honestly, because I'm, as you saw on my social media, I'm open. I'm ready to be snatched. I'm ready to be taken by the fucking powers that be. Because it's strange for me, though, for the first time, like in the last 2 weeks, I've got a VPN for the very first time. But the most amazing thing about it, I don't know if your listeners have this experience or yourself, but it means that like I basically can't download, upload, get anywhere near a BBC article.
Right.
I didn't expect it, but like they just don't allow you to come from fucking, you know, New York, fucking Germany, you know, fucking Taiwan, and take domestic British news. And what a fucking blessing it is. The number of times a BBC article of whatever propaganda shit pipe bullshit it's going to fucking splash all over my fucking walls or get into my brain in a place where I don't want it to be doesn't download. Oh fuck! I'm not.
This is what I can't get over. The whole fact that the BBC covered up the Jimmy Savile thing, and then how was it not fucking shut down after that? You know, and people still listen to them. It's ridiculous.
Compartmentalization, of course.
Yeah.
They got to act like it's just one fucking guy that nobody else knew about. You know how it works. Just fucking limited hangout. Fucking drop the fucking 3-card Monty game. It's now a fucking cardboard box on the ground. Where'd the shells go? I don't know. Who's that guy? Fucking all over the. Hey, is that the it's amazing to dovetail into that fucking Prince Charles is like giving, you know, in the media's narrative a down dressing and talking to fucking Prince Andrew. It's like he only fucked one teenager. You know, like he's only accused of a couple of teenagers. Like you're fucking you had the most prolific fucking pedophile in the world mediate your fucking marriage with someone your family killed. You fucking freak. How the fuck? It's fucking. We just live in madness, man. You know, fucking. This is the world that we're left to. You know.
On that note.
And then he talked about Dunblane for a new era. That's what we can do next time. We'll have a fucking nice old chat about what that fucking happened.
That was his pal, wasn't it? Thomas Hamilton, Charlie's pal.
Sure.
So it's been an absolute pleasure. I loved listening to your stories, hilarious stories, and then I loved your rants as well. Great stuff, man.
Craig, what a pleasure to meet you and to talk to you, and thank you to your listeners. And if you get a chance, we're doing a comedy news roundup thing weekly, myself and a comedian named Jim Grant. It's called The Cruise. You can find us on Cruise on Facebook, or you can find us on YouTube as well. So it releases, we're generally on Facebook at 6 o'clock every Thursday, so that's tomorrow, and episode 17 coming out tomorrow, and YouTube, I give myself a little bit to upload to 9 o'clock at night usually, but we'd appreciate anybody watching. It's not dissimilar to the conversation that Billy and I are having right now, but I'd argue that I'm much livelier with Billy than I've been on my own show, so that's quite funny. But if you even sniffed it for half a second before you fucking threw a shoe at it, I'd be very honored.
If you want to send me the link, I'll put it under the show, and when I upload it to YouTube, I'll put it there as well.
I don't expect to live that long, but I'll try, Billy.
All right. Okay, man.
Pleasure talking to you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening, folks. Cheers.
Likewise.
Bye-bye.
Well,
just hang on the route.